Yes, Naveen.
Yeah, good morning to all. I am C. Naveen Vadva from Taxmann Publications. A very warm welcome to all guests, speakers, and panelists in today's webinar. So it's my great pleasure to welcome in today's webinar on Faceless Assessment and Appeal Scheme. We are deeply overwhelmed to have the presence of an influential group of panelists to enlighten us about the new Faceless Scheme. Please join me to welcome our honorable members and participants in today's webinar. Shri Vishwanath Jha ji. So very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we are very humbled and thankful to invite you on this platform, and we are very thankful to you that you gave us time from your busy schedule. Shri Jha is a principal CCIT, West Bengal and Sikkim region. He joined the Indian Revenue Services in the year 1983. He has served in different capacities in income tax department throughout the country. In the last 37 of his career, he has served in Kolkata for nearly 20 years. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We also have with us Shri Subrat Kumar Das ji. He's a special invitee in today's webinar. He is an IRS officer of 1983 batch. He holds a master degree from University of Delhi and also a degree in law. He held a distinguished position in the Department of Income Tax. He was a key member of the team which developed the Faceless Assessment Scheme. He supervised the completion of e-assessment, first time on a digital platform before 2018 and 2019. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Shri Kamlesh Vashne. Sir, it's a great pleasure and honor to have you as a keynote speaker in today's webinar. We are really thankful to you that you gave us time from your extremely busy schedule. Mr. Vashne is a 1990 batch IRS officer. He is an MBA from IIM Lucknow, and he has also obtained his degree in law. He was involved in rolling out APA program in India. He has personally supervised and concluded more than 122 APA in a very short span of time. He was advisor to the task force which drafted the new income tax law. Currently, he is a joint secretary of tax policy and legislation. So welcome, sir. Dr. Sibishan K. Matthew. Mr. Matthew is an IRS officer. He's a director CPC ITR. He has authored many books, and the latest one is You Just Got Cheated, Understanding White Collar Crimes. So this book is available on Amazon. Dr. Matthew, we are very thankful to you for giving us time and enlighten us about the CPC ITR initiatives with respect to Faceless Scheme. Thank you, sir. Shri Ashim Modi. Shri Ashim Modi is an IRS officer. He's a BTech from IIT Delhi. He is having diversified experience in corporate, non-corporate taxation, central investigation, international taxation, and administration. We are thankful to you for joining us and to Shri Narayan Jain. Mr. Jain is an LLM advocate and author of many books on income tax. He is also a coordinating editor of Taxmann. He has served DTP as president and AFTP as national vice president. Welcome, sir. Shri Ramjio Kakra. Mr. Kakra has more than 40 years of experience as an advocate on taxation, criminal, and property matters. Shri Dilip Kumar Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal is an advocate. He is associated with different bar association of West Bengal. He is currently joint secretary of AFTP Eastern Zone. Shri Narendra Goyal. Mr. Goyal is a chartered accountant. He is having 35 years of experience. He is the president of Direct Taxes Professional Association.
Thank you.
Shri Satyendra Mohan Das. Mr. Das is an additional commissioner of income tax Kolkata. He is an IRS officer of 2002 batch. He has rich experience in assessment, investigation, TDS, and international taxation. A very, very warm welcome, sir.
Namaskar.
It is a momentous occasion for all of us. So it is a momentous occasion for all of us to witness such a remarkable change in the income tax law, where on the one hand, the income tax department has a responsibility as a tax facilitator towards the nation. On the other hand, it has a responsibility to create an environment of mutual trust between the department and the taxpayers. And as a taxpayer and a publisher, I believe that we can explicitly highlight the mood of the nation and how a taxpayer looks at the income tax department these days. So believe me, of late the level of interaction and the trust that income tax department has developed wherein department not only listens to taxpayers' concern, it proactively responds to resolve those concerns. So this behavior of the income tax department has instigated a sense of trust, confidence, and faith between the taxpayer and revenue. So on a lighter note, due to pandemic in the year 2020, we all have shifted to virtual platform for our meetings. But our visitor income tax department has already started the virtual proceedings 4 years back. It started virtual proceedings in 2016 on pilot basis, and in 2017 it extended to more than 100 cities. And now in 2020 it has implemented with full force. So that's how our income tax department is visionary. So we did some research, sir. So we find that a few European courts has started the virtual proceedings, but no country could achieve the level of faceless proceeding in the taxation matter like our income tax department is going to achieve. Assessment is one of the important process in taxation matters, which involves lot of manual process and physical meetings, which has an underlying cost and efforts. So these faceless proceedings will definitely remove the barriers by moving from the manual process to the automated process. Mr. PC Modi in a recent webinar has highlighted this faceless proceedings. So this faceless proceeding is not just related to assessment and the appeal. It is an end-to-end solution. I would like to quote him in his own words. So he said, it is an end-to-end solution which the department is aiming at. Right from your PAN enrollment, which is now available to an individual instantly e-PAN, your filing of return of income, again e-filing, our mode of communication through email, through SMSs, and then the process of response from the taxpayer also through electronic medium. Further, the assessment process is also done in e-manner. The dispatch of the assessment order is also done electronically. So right from the allotment of PAN to the end product, everything is done in an electronic, transparent, and efficient manner. So these are not my words, these are words of PC Modi sir, Honorable Chairman of CBDT. So I just quoted him exactly. So with this brief introduction, I would like to hand over the responsibility to moderate the further proceedings to C. Mayank Mohanka. Mr. Mohanka is a tax practitioner. He has authored many books on income tax, and the recent one is on Faceless Assessment Scheme, published by Taxmann. So now, Mayank, you can start now. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thanks a lot, Naveen ji, for kickstarting our today's mega webinar on such a positive and high note. And it is indeed our honor and pleasure to welcome on board such esteemed and distinguished guests from Income Tax Department and seasoned tax practitioners as our panelists for our today's webinar on the most talked about topics in tax circles today, that is faceless assessments and faceless appeals. Friends, let me begin with a very interesting question. What comes across your mind when you hear these phrases? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, video telephony, hash function, automated examination tool, automated random allocation system. Well, yes, any science fiction movie or any space science mission. But here I am simply referring to some of the phrases being used in the legislative schemes in the faceless assessments and faceless appeals. So the usage of such phrases in the legislative schemes itself speaks volume about the thrust and importance which the Income Tax Department has placed upon the usage of modern and advanced technologies in the tax administration systems today, so as to impart greater transparency, efficiency, and accountability in the systems. Friends, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, on 13th of August 2020, have launched on a new taxation platform honoring the honest. And the major thrust of this platform is on two bold and path-breaking reforms, that is faceless assessments and faceless appeals. With effect from 7th of October 2019, the e-assessment scheme 2019 was launched with the setting up of National E-Assessment Center in India. And on a pilot basis, 58,322 regular assessment cases for the assessment year 18-19 were being shortlisted under the scheme. However, with effect from 13th of August 2020, this e-assessment scheme has been replaced by a new faceless assessment scheme 2019. And currently, all regular assessment cases for the assessment year 18-19 and onwards have been covered under the new faceless assessment scheme. In addition, all pending income escaping assessments under Section 147 with effect from 13th of August 2020 are also being covered under the new scheme. So friends, as the name suggests, these assessments are being referred to as faceless because the income tax authorities on the one hand and the assessees and tax professionals on the other hand will not be able to see the faces of each other in layman's term. The assessments will not be conducted by territorial jurisdictional assessing officers, but by a dynamic team of income tax officials comprised in the National E-Assessment Center, the assessment units in the regional E-Assessment centers, with the technical assistance from the technical unit, verification unit, and review unit. The scrutiny cases will be assigned on random allocation basis by National E-Assessment Center to any particular uh, assessment unit in any regional E-Assessment Center. So there will not be any physical interface between the income tax department and the assessees. Friends, further, the Taxation and Other Laws, Relaxation and Other Provisions Act 2020 have now inserted an altogether new section 144B in the Income Tax Act itself with effect from 1st of April 2021. And accordingly, all our regular assessments under section 143.3 will also be conducted in a faceless manner with effect from assessment year 21-22. With effect from 1st of April 21. Similarly, the Faceless Appeal Scheme has also been launched with effect from 25th of September 2020. And for the purpose of conducting appeals in a faceless manner, the National Faceless Appeal Center and the Regional Faceless Appeal Centers and the appeal units comprising of one or more Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals are in the process of being set up. So now the appeals of the assessees will not be adjudicated and disposed of by the jurisdictional CIT appeals, but will be disposed of by a dynamic jurisdiction. Friends, these two bold reforms are indeed a game changer for overhauling the entire administration and tax compliances systems. Though for the tax professionals, it may result in missing out on that odd cup of tea with the income tax official or the CIT appeal. But as long as that odd cup of tea is being replaced by a far more rewarding and satisfying tea, that is transparency, efficiency, and accountability, no one is complaining. So friends, our discussion in today's webinar will focus primarily on identification and redressal of key administrative and legal issues, which require some more clarification from the policymakers so as to enable smooth and better implementation of these bold reforms. Our major focus will also be on sensitization of all the stakeholders, including the tax practitioners, to ensure better compliance with these two bold reforms and to ensure faster resolution of the scrutiny notices by encouraging the taxpayers as well as tax professionals to frame and upload qualitative, pointed, and crisp replies to the pointed scrutiny questionnaires. With these words, I would like to request our honorable guest today, Mr. Bishwanath Jhaji, the Principal Chief Commissioner of Income Tax, West Bengal and Sikkim region, to kindly inaugurate our today's webinar, sir. Mr. Bishwanath Jhaji, sir.
Should I go ahead?
Yes,
Oh.
sir. Thanks a lot, sir, for inaugurating our today's webinar. And I may request you yourself to kindly enlighten us about these bold reforms, sir. It is our humble pleasure to be.
Good morning, everyone. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, sir. Clearly visible and audible, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I am thankful to Taxmann for giving me this opportunity of reaching out to a larger audience, especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Because you see that in the larger cities, we have had the opportunity of attending such webinars, many such webinars, and by and large, people are already familiar with the scheme. But taking it up to the smaller cities was the real need which Taxmann has identified, and I am actually thankful to them for realizing this need and then taking it forward. Coming to the scheme, a brief introduction has already been given to you. I have completed 37 years of service in the department, and I have more than a nodding familiarity with the history of the department. never before, take my word, never before has a reform of this nature, this big, been undertaken in the income tax department, ever. It's a huge, huge reform where the whole process, the entire process has been changed. The process, what I mean is, it's a new game. It's a new ball game. It's a new format. It's a new department, if I can say so. So it's a huge reform which will change things forever. I mean, the way things were being done and the way things will be done would be absolutely different. The issue is, why? Why do you have to make such a huge change? I mean, what is the necessity? Well, I am reminded of Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, death and taxes. There are only two certain things in this world, taxes and death. And people are more or less reconciled that yes, it would be, one would be visited by both. And they have no issues with either. So as long as the process is not painful, whether it is death or taxes, if the process is not painful, one doesn't mind. So there was some perception, I am not saying it was a very widely shared perception, but then yes, there was some perception in some quarters that the taxation system which we had in the country, the process was not very transparent, a little opaque, at times maybe causing some harassment to some people, and which led to a kind of trust deficit between the taxpayer and the tax administrator. It is primarily to address such trust deficit that the government has initiated and introduced this huge reform, which is so transparent. I mean, nothing can be more transparent than this. It is as transparent as you will have sunrise tomorrow in the east and sunset today in the west. I mean, is that transparent? So it's one of the most transparent system which has not been tried anywhere in the world. I mean, this kind of absolutely technological driven assessment scheme has not been tried anywhere else. We are the first one to introduce it. So that is precisely the reason why this has been started. And the objective the department tries to achieve is, as somebody rightly pointed out, transparency, efficiency, and accountability. Transparency, I said, nothing could be more transparent than this. Efficiency, as your experts would be telling you later. Should I go ahead? Efficiency, as the panelists would be telling you later, is inbuilt in the system. The system itself will be more efficient than what the earlier system was. Accountability, since everything is online and you are leaving an electronic trail of what you do, so accountability is also taken care of. I have talked about why this scheme. I have talked about what the scheme aims to achieve, but what is the scheme? The issue is, let me say at the beginning that I am not going to take you through the specific provisions of the notification and clause by clause what the scheme says, for two reasons. One, you already know it. And two, we have such a distinguished and expert panel who would be taking your questions and dealing with specific issues of this scheme. So I don't have any intention of preempting their discussion by giving you clause by clause analysis of what the scheme is. But in a nutshell, I am again reminded of a quote from Rudyard Kipling that the East is East and the West is West, and the twain shall never meet. Well, the SSE is an SSE. The assessor is an assessor, and the twain shall never meet. That is the essence of the scheme. You will not know your assessing officer will never meet you, and your assessment would be technology driven. The nuances of the scheme, the further how it progresses, and etc., would be discussed in great detail by the expert panelists. So I am deliberately omitting that. But one thing I would like to mention is that, see, the whole it is not only the assessment. See, the primary job of the income tax department is to determine the correct income of the taxpayer. In short, that is what we do, and that is what we are supposed to do. So this primary job has been totally changed. And not only this primary job has been changed, the ecosystem has also been changed. Whether your case will be picked up for scrutiny or not has also been changed. So the whole ecosystem of who will be picked up for a scrutiny, whose scrutiny assessment would be done, how a scrutiny assessment would be done, how the appeal would be filed, and how the appeal would be disposed of has been thoroughly overhauled. I mean, it's all totally a new system. As I told you, experts would be taking you through that. Is one another aspect which I would like to highlight is that, see, when there is such a huge change in any system, not only income tax department, in any system, any organization, any institution, when there is such a huge change, it generates some kind of an apprehension on both sides, both on the side of the taxpayer as well as on the side of the tax administrators. Even we are a little apprehensive about how smoothly it will go, as you are, that how smoothly it will go from your side. So I'll give you an example. See, this pandemic has changed the way most of the things, not only how the income tax would be done, but most of the things what world was doing earlier, that method has been changed. One is meeting your doctor. I mean, instead of going and actually meeting your doctor, there is teleconferencing and telemedicine, which has become very popular. To the point of digression, I'll say that recently I had some infection in my eye, and I got in touch with one of my doctor who told me that you make a video call. So I made a video call, and he said that take your phone near your eye. So I did that, and he saw, and he said that, yes, it is a small conjunctivitis. I'll give you a drop. It will be all right. But I was not satisfied. I was somehow not satisfied. I still had doubts whether he could actually see my eye or not, whether the correct drop he is giving me or not. So in a new system, you have those apprehensions coming to your mind, which will in this faceless assessment also, like the telemedicine, both the patient and the doctor, although that is not the correct comparison, but the administrator, I mean the assessing officer and the taxpayer will have certain amount of apprehension about how things, I mean, you will always think whether, see, in our country, the dependence on technology is still not so great. Here people still send an email and then send a WhatsApp, did you get my mail? So people still doubt whether the mail has actually reached or not. So the taxpayer will always have this apprehension whether what he has uploaded has been received by the assessing officer, whether he has gone through it, etc., etc. So these apprehensions apart, but my advice would be that please keep these apprehensions at a distance, keep them aside. We have, as somebody was saying, Mr. Mayank was saying in the beginning, the latest of technology, the latest of everything. And please do not doubt the technology. Technology doesn't fail. Human beings sometimes fail, technology doesn't. One more aspect which I want to highlight is as I said, I would not go into the specifics. So I am telling you the outlines and the general things about the scheme, which of course will be compensated by the expert erudite panelists when they take up the issue. Another thing is that such a massive change. I mean, what are the advantages and what are the challenges? I mean, whenever you have such a change, there would be certain advantages, obviously, otherwise, why should you have such a change? But such a huge change also throws certain challenges, which one has to, I mean, both sides have to meet, have to go probably walk an extra mile to meet and make special efforts to meet those challenges. What are the challenges? I'll first take the advantage. Advantage are three, I said in the beginning, but primarily I'll say that transparency and efficiency. Transparency, I said, nothing could be more transparent than this new system. It is like sun rising in the east and setting in the west. Efficiency is, yes, it saves you now. The biggest shift is that your assessment work is shifting from one individual to a team. So you are saved from the tyranny of the individual. We had earlier a system where one individual, either maybe income tax is a very complicated act. So sometimes not everybody was very familiar. Sometimes a lot of wrongdoings used to happen because of the ignorance on the part of the assessing officer. Maybe he was not fully aware of what he was doing. So now and by the time the order is passed, so after that nothing can be done. You only go in appeal. So his supervisory officers would be of no help once the assessment order is passed. And till it is passed, you don't know what is going to be passed. So you are subjected to the sort of, if I can say so, the tyranny of the individual he alone decides what your income should be. That is history now. That is now history. Now it would be done by a team where a supervisory officers would be involved from the very beginning. And when 3-4 people examine a thing, the chances of arbitrariness and so-called high-pitched assessment would be next to nothing. So that is a huge change from the efficiency point of view, which is inbuilt in the system, which is very inbuilt in the system. So it's a great relief for the taxpayer. What are the challenges? I mean, the challenges, one very big challenge which I visualize is the internet speed in our country. I mean, the TRI data says that the average download speed in our country is 7 to 10 Mbps, and you will be surprised that the average upload speed is 2 Mbps. I mean, the taxpayer would be more concerned with the upload because he will have to upload documents. I'm not talking about China and others, but the average of the world of download is 30 to 35 Mbps, and upload is at least 10 to 12. This is the average. The speed in China is 150 Mbps. So this probably would be a small challenge which the department in the right earnest is addressing. And very soon we also are fast developing the infrastructure, moving towards 5G. And I'm sure in near future, this would not be an issue at all. But presently, yes, it appears to be a small challenge. So both we are in the department are trying to put in a system which would be faster, with a bigger bandwidth. You also will have to sort of have the backup and of the technology which could upload your submissions, etc., and whatever you want to file with some efficiency. The second challenge which I see is this system-driven allocation of work. See, since there is no human interface, because we have to be as transparent as it is possible, so there is no human interface. Now the machine doesn't know the person. So the machine, there is a possibility that the assessment of State Bank of India or ONGC gets allocated to some ITO in Midnapur. Midnapur, incidentally, is a small town in West Bengal. So and the assessing officer may not have handled a big case ever. So that could be maybe as time passes, the senior officers would also look into it, and these issues will get sorted out as and when it arises. The third one is the verification SOP, the verification unit. Somehow the nature of verification in the income tax proceedings is such that it doesn't gel very well with the faceless assessment scheme. I mean, the moment you start verifying, I mean, that faceless thing gets lost. So how do we overcome that? I mean, you go to verify, so how do you verify? I mean, this is still, I mean, it's evolving, and I'm sure some very robust system will evolve, and the verification process will be taken to the logical end. From the taxpayer's point of view, the takeaways in fact, it's not a challenge, but it's a takeaway kind of a thing, that timely compliance, the timely compliance earlier was not such a big issue, because your chartered accountant or the advocate knew the assessing officer, and the assessing officer was accessible on phone. So you probably did not file the adjournment petition, and you gave a call to him and the matter was done. That is not possible now. So timely submission, 15 days means 15 days. Either you file or you miss. So what the taxpayer will have to get into the habit, especially the tax practitioners, that time is of essence. So it has to be timely compliance, otherwise it may have an adverse impact on the outcome. The third thing is, the taxpayer earlier was least bothered about what the submission is, whether it was filed on time or not. So it was kind of outsourced to the chartered accountant or the advocate. Like we outsource the ticketing to a ticketing agent, and after that we don't bother whether he bought the ticket or not. Only when he gives you a call that you come to know that he has taken the ticket. That should not be the case now. The faster the taxpayer realizes that it will require a little more involvement on his part on his income tax proceedings than what was being done earlier. He will have to ensure that he knows the facts the best. And facts are very important. So before a submission is filed, it is advisable that taxpayer himself goes through the submission rather than outsourcing it and not knowing what submission has been filed. Because everything now would be dependent and decided on your quality of submission. Even quality of submission was earlier not very important, because you had this physical interaction where you could explain verbally your case. That is not there anymore. So your quality of submission is of prime importance now, and the assessment order is going to be based on the basis of what has been submitted in writing and uploaded. The third aspect I would say is, do not, for God's sake, take the risk which you used to take earlier. Now, the kind of information the department has and you will be accosted with all that information before you file that return, that I have all this information. So please don't take that risk that, okay, I'll see whether ultimately what happens. Ultimately, only one thing will happen. The truth will prevail and it will be added in the assessment order. So please don't be a little adventurous, and the earlier system of adventurism should be given away, and be very truthful in the return you file. All said and done, the new system, see, again, as I said in the beginning, it is a new system. It will throw certain teething problems in the beginning, which kindly bear with us, and you also bear. I mean, we will also bear those teething problems from the other side. And but I have no doubt in my mind that, for example, I'll tell you an example. We will be depending on the third-party data for the AIS. Now, somebody in the hotel is uploading the data of how many people paid more than 25,000 rupees in cash. Now, while uploading the data, it is possible that instead of writing 25,000 rupees, he writes 2,50,000 rupees. He puts one more zero. And when you get a notice that you have paid 2,50,000 cash in a particular hotel, you get wild. I mean, you start cursing the department and the people behind. So please bear with us. It is possible. And there is a system in place to rectify such mistakes. No injustice is going to be done. At the end, I'll say that I have no doubt in my mind that, and I'm sure that nobody else will have, that this game-changing, pioneering reform will be a huge, huge success, and you will soon have other geographies adopting this scheme. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir, for sharing your valuable insights about the nuances of this scheme and gauging the pulse of the nation and the taxpayers and the tax professionals and their apprehensions, and explaining those things by very simple and real life examples, sir. That was a very unique thing and learning experience for all of us. So really, thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir, now I would request our honorable special invitee guest, Sir Shri S.K. Das ji. And sir, we are really overwhelmed with your august presence in this webinar today. And I would request your sir to kindly enlighten us about this scheme, and so that we can benefit from your illuminating words, sir. Sir.
Good morning, friends. Very nice to have my friends and ex-colleagues, and also the panelists many of whom I personally know on this webinar. I think I'm here because of my experience of heading the systems directorate in the department. Sometimes when you have to say something against the department, you usually put it to systems. You can, like the example Vishnath gave you, if somebody uploads 25,000 as 2,50,000, you'll start cursing the systems department, so systems directorate. So I am not trying to defend it, but I will give you the actual the way things happen there, so that you appreciate what they are doing and how crucial it is for the success of this faceless assessment scheme. While planning it, we are all human beings, and you are all our friends. I'm addressing the tax practitioners. They are a very important stakeholder of the whole income tax ecosystem. We have ensured that you still get your T. We have a jurisdictional officer. In addition to that, he will not do your assessment, but he's still there. He'll be probably doing rectification, he'll be doing recovery. He has got a lot of other work to do. So you have a jurisdictional officer. In addition to that, we give you transparency, efficiency, and accountability. So you have, instead of having one cup of tea, you are now having two offers from our side. And this is a great visionary step. And I'm not saying it is the vision of the directorate or only the income tax department. It is part of the drive of the government to bring transparency and efficiency in the financial systems, particularly. The first myth I want to debunk is that this is not something which has suddenly come about. I remember in 2016 in Calcutta with many of you sitting there and thinking about how to do the e-assessment pilot project. We used to get those numbers. So we were trying, board had alerted us some numbers. So we were trying to find out how to meet those targets of completing e-assessments. So the government was very clear right from the beginning. They made a proper statement and gave you timelines. We did pilots, then we went ahead and did the 2018 and 2019 December, the time barring pertaining to e-assessment. There was a lot of learning. And it was particularly for me and for my two colleagues who are here. I'm very lucky to have them. You are very lucky to have them here because these two young people, Asim and Sibichen, on their shoulders, they carry one vertical of the directorate. One is ITBA, the other one is CPC. These two verticals will be involved totally in execution, back-end execution of the faceless assessment scheme. So it's a very good thing that they are here and they will be talking to you. So the system is getting built up. There are a lot of similarities or parallels between the e-assessment scheme and the faceless. Like we used to send almost 100%, barring point some percentages, the delivery of notices through the portal. Then the computation of income, the calculation of taxes, and uploading, most importantly, uploading of data and documents from your side. So this has been done in 2018. This has been done in 2019. So you have no reason to suspect that only because we have a faceless assessment today, you will have problems in uploading. No. These issues, we have gone through the process. There were initial glitches, but now we have overcome them. And a major part of faceless assessment pertains to involves these things. As far as you are concerned, it's good to have some knowledge about the different units, how we work at the back end. That is good, probably, for your understanding. But as far as you are concerned about receipt of notices, then your reply being acknowledged by the department, and then assessment order being formulated, and tax computation and tax calculations done properly. These are 4-5 basic things which you want to be done. We have been doing it very, very smoothly. At least in December 2019, it was absolutely smooth. So you should not entertain any kind of anxiety on that point, on that issue. So please go ahead and prepare yourself and strategize how to meet the other requirements. Now I'll come to the other requirements. My best friend and batchmate has almost covered everything. So I can only extend and put some further explanations to the points that he has given. Look at the transparency level that the government has set, not only for you, but also for us. We have that old 26 AS is gone. Whatever information I have, you also have in the AIS. So the engagement of the government, of the income tax department to be particular, with the SSC is now much more. The kind of messages I personally receive from my relatives from in Odisha, small SSCs, they get messages, they get a little anxious, they forward it to me because they know I'm in income tax department. Going through that, and a couple of returns I got filed and they got refund on account of that. So the point I'm making is that, as Vishnath says, it's a continuous engagement. It's not, don't look at only one-time engagement at the time of assessment. And as if it's a cat and mouse game, you have done something, I'm running after you, I'm trying to catch you. That episode is over. What they want today is that Like, first of all, before you file your return, have a look at your AIS and file a correct return. And government has also put enormous amount of discipline on itself. Like, look at the 14-point taxpayers charter that they have made. This is the first time it has got legislative support. Earlier, it was just an administrative declaration. Today, it has got legislative support. And in addition to that, they basically talk about the things that we are going to deliver. And they have also very clearly mentioned the expectations from the taxpayer. I'll just highlight two things where my friends, the tax practitioners, should be especially careful about, is that the SSC should keep accurate records. That is there in the expectations chart, that's 6 points. One is that the uh, records should be accurate, and you have a role in their maintenance of records. So please ensure that. Only when you ensure that you file a proper return, then you get a proper, if at all there is a scrutiny, you get a good order, and if there is any issue, that get resolved. Again, at the cost of repetition, I'm saying, if you are making an honest representation, you should not be afraid that it will not be accepted by the department. So going back again, tax payment through design, the tax compliance by design, it is designed in such a way that if you have a good explanation and a correct explanation, then your issues are resolved. If first of all, probably you will not get a notice, because there is a lot of risk management mechanism behind the selection. For 2 years, I was involved with the whole thing. The rules that we had made are still in force. And the amount of work, we have a specific directorate with handpicked people to pick up those cases. And they do enormous amount of work, which many of you would not know. There is statistics, there are involvement of so many people. Uh, the cases are picked up, and then they go through reiterations 2-3 times, and then the cases are picked up. Most probably, if you have a proper if you have proper records and you have all the intentions to comply with the tax laws, most probably it is not, you will not get a notice. That is what I presume. Second, small, we always discuss big issues, but I think behind all big issues, there are small issues which add up to the bigger one. I'll give you one example. Like, now you will find a lot of messages are going from the Directorate of Systems. Some up, and the people replying to those messages, I mean, the percentages have to be, at least should be somewhere around 100. Please ensure that, because the flip side is the Directorate has the data. They have verified the data. They are asking you if there is an anomaly there, or you have not filed a return or something like that. If you do not respond to those messages, and you do not go to the portal and reply there, then what is the logical outcome of it? Obviously, there is a chance that all these cases will be picked up for scrutiny. I mean, that is logical. Of course, they will again go through risk management, but it is in the interest of the taxpayer as well as the interest of the department that all these messages that are going, and these are not frivolous messages. These messages are weighted. They have gone through a whole process. So if we need a clarification, just give a clarification. Why are you waiting for a full-fledged assessment to take place? And get away, and don't get involved, and don't get a notice. But these small messages also have to be carried to the taxpayer. So, of course, the first thing, I am not going to tell you all the 6, but honesty and compliant behavior. So these two things add up, and you have a big role to play to ensure that. And if they do all these things, then I'm 100% sure the way we have devised it, the way the department has devised it, and you will have no complaint against the department, and there will be resolutions. There will be a good ending. If at all there is some inquiry, there will be a perfect ending to that, a logical ending to that. So that is the first thing. Second, again, the point-to-point solution, as the Security Chairman talks about. Look, we start from the filing of return to the, if at all there is a notice, then how to reply to that and how to complete it. So the entire process is linked. Let us not have a look, or let us not restrict ourselves only to assessment. Now, I will just give you a small outline of the assessing officer and how he is going to function and how that is going to affect the representation that you are going to make, because this is one of a critical component of the faceless assessment scheme. Today, the assessing officer, like we were also assessing officers, we have done assessment at least for 10 years. So what happens? You issue a notice, then the representative comes. We understand what is the business. Then we go through the books of accounts. Then we identify the areas where investigation has to take place. And then finally, maybe during my time, it was March. Finally, during February end or first week of March, we have now focused ourselves on a particular area and we are taking it forward. So this has different units of work. They have all been compressed together now. When you receive a notice, the department has the data. The department has made the comparison. Obviously, you are an outlier. You are not coming in the general benchmark for your industry or for your kind of profession. So when they issue a notice, all these things that we were arriving in the month of January, maybe everything backed by data, backed by all possible information. The insight platform, those who are using it, the assessing officer will tell you, is incredibly effective. And gradually, as we go forward, this is one of the best thing about machine learning, is that the data will get corrected and you will have accurate data. All the footprints on the map, on the virtual map will be there. So he is empowered. He is faceless. You have no direct access to him. And most important, I always feel there was a gap there, that there is a gap in knowledge. So when 2-3 departmental people of different seniority come together, obviously they will be asking you very sharp questions. And there is a at the back end, there is a functional specialization. So the questions relating to the stock market will most probably be framed by officers who have worked with brokers in Bombay or Calcutta or Delhi. They will not be framed in a small town. So when a guy who is experienced, 2 or 3 of them are framing questions relating to a stock market transactions, you have to be that accurate in your response to have a proper conclusion or to explain your position to the department. So the questions are going to be sharper. But the best thing is that the outcome is going to be predictable, in the sense that if this is a question, because as you are collecting questions, the department at the back end also will say that these are the scenarios, these are the issues, as they call it, issues and the scenarios, these are the replies, these are the resolution. So ultimately you have all those units, especially the technical unit. I think the expectation is, and most probably it's going to happen, is that department in a very short time, it will take a little time to settle down, department, the replies to a particular type of question will be also uniform. It's not that you put in the same kind of reply on the same kind of facts, you get 3 sets of information at 3 different locations. So there is enormous amount of discipline monitoring put at the back end. The back end system is robust, and I'm fully confident that you are the people who have seen these processes evolving. You have cooperated. You have been a very active participant and equally important stakeholder in the system. You will also devise ways and means to give satisfactory answers so that overall there is a satisfaction. The tax-paying experience of the taxpayer is good, smooth, and like they will feel good about not only you, but also about the department. And that is what the department wants, and that is what I think you also want, because your clients should be happy. So we are looking forward to that future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir, for debunking so many myths concerning these faceless assessment schemes and guiding us like a true mentor and friend and teacher in ensuring better compliances towards these schemes. And sir, you have been instrumental in conducting today's webinar. So we are really grateful and thankful to you, sir. Really grateful.
Thank you.
So now it is indeed our honor and pleasure to have on board Shri Kamlesh Varshaneji as our keynote speaker for our today's webinar. And since sir is the Joint Secretary Taxation and Policy Legislation, therefore we are really fortunate to have someone from the policy making department itself to allay the fears of the stakeholders and enrich us about the nuances of this scheme. Sir, sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mayank, and really grateful to Taxmann for giving this opportunity to reach out to the audiences in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. And our learned seniors, Jha sir and Das sir, have already touched upon most of the intricacies of this scheme. What are the background? What are the policy objectives? What are the key driving areas? All that have been covered, and really grateful to them for covering that in such nice details. So I will just explain a little bit more intricacy that how this scheme has been rolled out, and try to explain the 3 points which my seniors have tried to explain, that is transparency, efficiency, and accountability. So basically, first thing is that right now, assessing officer performs multiple functions. He performs functions which are before assessment, then he carries out assessment, then he performs functions which are post-assessment, which are demand recovery, rectifications, giving appeal effect, follow-up appeal outside. There's so many functions he has to perform. So the question is that should we continue with this system of giving all functions to one officer who has jurisdiction over you, or can we take out one function from him and assign it to a central place, which brings more transparency, efficiency, and accountability? So that was the policy objective, and therefore only the assessment function of the assessing officer has been taken out and given to the National E-Assessment Center. And I will cover that National E-Assessment Center later. But all other functions of the assessing officer remains with the jurisdictional officer. So if you have to get an appeal effect, it is a jurisdiction officer which will perform that function. If you have to get rectification, he will do it. If the demand collection is his responsibility, following up cases in appeal is his responsibility, so those will continue to remain with him. Although you must have also noticed that in the Taxation Law Amendment Act, which got a president assent in the month of September, so in that act, even these residual functions of the jurisdiction officers are also going to become online, and therefore that will also become faceless and jurisdictionless, but that scheme is still to be notified. It will take some time for that to happen. So ultimately, the objective is that end-to-end function should be online, transparent, jurisdictionless, and faceless, so that we try to achieve transparency, efficiency, accountability, not only in assessment, but in all functions of the department. So now I will try to come to National E-Assessment Center and try to explain you how that is trying to achieve this transparency, efficiency, and accountability. So in National E-Assessment Center is a body. All communication will happen only through National E-Assessment Center. So below National E-Assessment Center, we have Regional Assessment Center. And under Regional Assessment Center, we have assessment units, we have verification units, and we have review units. And in addition, we have technical units also under National E-Assessment Center. So idea is that all these units will be faceless. They will, any communication will happen only through National E-Assessment Center. So National E-Assessment Center will assign a case to an assessment unit, which could be in any regional assessment center. as Dasa and Jhasa had explained, that one particular case of North India can go to even assessment unit in the South or vice versa. And it is not the discretion of the officers who are posted in National E-Assessment Center to decide which case to go to which officer. That will also happen automatically through computer and through all that designing that is going to happen. And when it goes to one assessment unit, that one assessment unit, once he completes the, if he wants any verification to be done, he will send it to the National E-Assessment Center, and National E-Assessment Center will get that verification done through any of the verification unit in any regional E-Assessment Center. Similarly, if the assessment unit officer wants some technical input on any issue, he will again send it back to National E-Assessment Center, and the National E-Assessment Center will request technical input from any one of the 4 technical units which are operating under him. So, and all these things will also happen automatically, not through the discretion of the officers posted in National E-Assessment Center. So everything has been designed in a manner that human discretions in selecting an officer who will do what is not there, and it happens automatically and in a very transparent manner. Now, this assessment unit officer, along with his seniors in a team-based manner, so it is not one officer alone, it is a team. So that team completes an assessment. Now, is that assessment final? Not yet, because National E-Assessment Center also will have a risk management strategy laid down, and he will apply that risk management study to that assessment order to see whether that assessment order is final and communicated to the taxpayer or no. Because maybe that there is addition on a particular issue which require examination by somebody else again, or maybe the amount of addition is so huge that it requires examination by somebody else. So there would be laid down criteria that if you pass any of these criteria, then this assessment is not final. Then this assessment will go to second assessment unit. Once again, that second assessment unit will also be selected by a computer. Now, if the second assessment unit concur with the first assessment unit, then it becomes final. But if second assessment unit, sorry, it will go to the review unit. Sorry, I mean, just one correction. It will go to the review unit. Now, if review unit concurs with the assessment unit, then it becomes final, and then it can be communicated to the taxpayer by the National E-Assessment Center. But if review unit does not concur with the assessment unit, then it will send it back to National E-Assessment Center, and then National E-Assessment Center will send it to the another assessment unit. That means 3-stage checks and balances. Similarly, in appeal also, there are three steps for checks and balances. The only difference is that here we had assessment unit, review unit, and then assessment unit, but there is no review unit in appeal. There is appeal unit, and then if it satisfies any of the risk management criteria, it will go to another appeal unit. And that if that appeal unit concurs with the first appeal unit, then it is final. If it does not concur, then it will go to the third appeal unit. So this is how it has been designed, so that there is no overpitch assessment. There is no improper assessment. What is required is that proper assessment is done in a faceless manner, in an efficient manner. So let us see how are we going to achieve transparency. The transparency we are going to achieve is because, first of all, there is no bias. Now, let us try to understand this way that, you know, I'm not talking about corruption, but there is always a bias also there. Now, I am, adjudicating a case, and a particular chartered accountant, a particular advocate appears before me. Maybe I know him very well, so there might be some bias in my mind, at the back of my mind, that I give him more time to hear him, to understand him, than to some other advocate, probably whom I don't know. So I will give him less time to explain his point of view. Now, that is not fair. That biasness should not be there. So that biasness is imperative whenever there are human interactions. So this biasness is not going to be there once we have technologically driven faceless assessment or faceless appeal. So this is one point why we say it is a transparency. Then, of course, we have said that all communication will be by NEAC. There will be no personal communication between the assessment unit or the taxpayer, or the appeal unit or the taxpayer, or the review unit or the taxpayer, or the. So, so all the technical unit or the taxpayer, so all those human interactions are eliminated, and even National E-Assessment Center is going to interact you through emails or video conferencing. So that is a very important point that is to be kept in mind, that how transparency is going to be achieved. Another thing about transparency is, which is separately it has been done, that is document identification number, which CBDT has mandated that each communication from the income tax department must have a document identification number, and without that document identification number, it is not a valid document. And so that means there cannot be a case where somebody is asking you question outside the main system. So that is also going to increase transparency. When you get a communication from the income tax department, whether it is a valid communication or it is a fake communication. It is a communication which you need to respond or you don't need to respond. So this is all will ensure transparency. Efficiency. Now, that's a valid question which used to be in the mind of all of us officers who are working in the tax department. Whenever we used to look at the tax administration, overseas tax administration, whether you look at Australia, you look at USA, Canada, you will find functional specialization. That functional specialization was not there in our income tax department. One assessing officer was doing all functions, as I explained to you. The question is, if he spends too much time on on assessment, he doesn't get time to spend on demand recovery. Isn't it that demand recovery is also as important as assessment? It is. If some taxpayer is not traceable, maybe because he's playing around with the income tax department, you will see so many demand is irrecoverable because taxpayer is not traceable. So can we give that function to a separate functional specialization unit who then apply various software to find out where is this taxpayer, what all he is doing? So that specialization can help them to collect demand, because they will have specialization in recovery of demand. Now, when I say specialization will be that compartment based, not officer based. An officer may be posted in assessment today, maybe assessment in debt recovery tomorrow, but that specialization will be developed by the National E-Assessment Center, by the Regional E-Assessment Center. That this case we need to do in this manner. SOPs will be in place, that if this question is asked, if this is the response, as Dasa explained, then this will be our outcome. If this is the question asked, this is the response, this is going to be the outcome. Now that specialization will be developed by the National E-Assessment Center, by the Regional E-Assessment Center, and it doesn't matter which officer is posted there. So because of this specialization, if we are spending 100 hours to complete one assessment, then probably we will take only 60 hours to do that assessment. So that balance 40 hours of the income tax department, can we use it for demand recovery? Can we use it for representation before ITAT? Can we use it for some of our, some of the taxpayer-friendly programs we have, like advanced pricing agreement, where we are going to give tax certainty to the taxpayers? So, or can we use that extra time for investigation? That is also very important work of the department. See, if we have to supply, if we have to provide good services to honest taxpayer, we also have to go after dishonest taxpayer. Both are the functions of the department. And we have to ensure that we give proper time, proper resources to all the functions of the department. So basically, we are trying to bring efficiency by this functional specialization, by these SOPs, and through all this verification unit. So every verification unit will have specialization developed in verifying an item. Technical units will develop functional specialization in giving technical input. So maybe in 1 year time or 2 year times, you will have a position papers on various legal issues, that if this is the legal issue, this is the stand department must take. And that will also ensure consistency across all assessment order. And that is another point of transparency. So if I want transparency, that means if what is happening in my case, it should happen same stand should be taken in somebody else's case. So all over India, it doesn't matter whether it is Mr. A's assessment or Mr. B assessment or Mr. Z assessment. All assessment, if they have done the same action, the assessment order must have the outcome, similar outcome in all those cases. Now that will be ensured and developed by this functional efficiency. So this is the efficiency that we are trying to achieve through these faceless assessment, faceless appeal. Accountability was explained by Jha sir, was that every trail there's going to be digital trail for every action of the officer. Now, some action, see, even if it is team-based and everything, they, we are human being. So, and any human being can always commit some mistake, but we can find out that this mistake was committed and this was a bona fide mistake. So we can rectify that mistake. Or if there is something wrong with our SOP, when there is an audit trail, something has gone wrong, we go through the audit trail and we find out whether it is a bona fide mistake or mala fide mistake. If it is mala fide mistake, then we must take action. If it is bona fide mistake, then probably we need to revise our SOPs. So all those action will follow because there is an accountability. So all this, because of use of technology, there is better accountability that will be in place now than it was so far. So this is how that we try to achieve transparency, efficiency, and accountability. In addition, I will say that when we talk about T, transparency, we also talk about trust. That is, we are also creating more trust between the taxpayer and the tax department. Let me try to explain this. What used to happen so far, department collects a lot of information through our information gathering mechanism, section 285BA, we know about it. So, but what happens is that information is collected, it is mined, and then that information is given to the assessing officer. And normally it happens that after 5 years or 6 years, that assessing officer analyzes that information and then issues 148. Now, suddenly after 5 or 6 years, an assessee gets 148 notice, and he says he doesn't even remember the transaction because already 5 or 6 years have gone. So in some cases, it leads to harassment. In genuine cases where we should have collected tax out of that transaction, probably we can't because it is so old. So it really created that particular approach that department used to follow so far, that we will keep the information with us and we will wait for the taxpayer to file his tax return and then we will go after him. Now that approach has changed because now the new approach is that we are going to tell you that all that information about you, what we have. So your 26 AS will be populated with all that information, and we expect you to go through that information and file correct return of income. So even if you have to revise your return, please revise your return of income so that we get correct amount of tax voluntarily instead of we going after you. Now that is what we say, we are creating trust between taxpayer and tax department. So when we say T, so we also need to see that in that perspective. Now the question is that what are the key requirements to make this scheme success? Jha sir and Das sir have touched upon quite a few requirements, like what infrastructure was one issue. Definitely, I mean, if we do not have good infrastructure, this scheme cannot be a success. But as we see outside the tax department, there is a lot of technological advancement in India, and I'm pretty sure that internet capacity in even tier 2, tier 3 cities and villages are going to increase substantially, which will help us to roll out this scheme properly all over India. Then another thing I would like to mention is that it is very important that the cases that we select are proper cases. Honorable Prime Minister, when he was addressing our Indian citizens on 13th of August, he mentioned that only 0.25% cases are selected for scrutiny. So question is that what is it an end in itself, or why are we selecting 0.25% cases in scrutiny? So what is the purpose of that? So the answer is that this is scrutiny is not for the purpose of tax collection. The purpose of scrutiny is to increase voluntary compliance. And how do we do that? Now, if we do not select cases properly, if we do not use our artificial intelligence, machine learning to select the actual cases which should be scrutinized, that is very important. And then once proper cases are selected, proper assessment orders are framed, which stand the scrutiny of the court. That is where we are going to send messages to 99.75% other cases which are not selected for scrutiny. Because let me try to explain this with an example. Suppose I am on the road You know, and I'm an honest citizen of India. ट्रैफिक लाइट रेड हुई, मैंने अपनी गाड़ी रोक दी. अब वहां पे मैं देख रहा हूँ कि मेरा दाएं बाजू वाला भी निकल गया है, बाएं बाजू वाला भी निकल गया है, सब निकल गया, मैं रेड लाइट पे खड़ा हुआ हूँ. हाउ विल आई फील इट? कैसा लगेगा मुझे? मुझे नहीं अच्छा लगेगा. या तो मुझे लगेगा कि मैं भी जंप कर देता हूँ रेड लाइट को, या मैं गाली दूंगा, या ये क्या हो गया यार कि मतलब जो लोग गलत काम कर रहे हैं आप उसके अगेंस्ट में एक्शन नहीं ले रहे हो. बिल्कुल ऐसा ही होता है. ऑनेस्ट टैक्स पेयर हैं, बहुत ऑनेस्ट टैक्स पेयर्स हैं, वो ऑनेस्टली टैक्स देते हैं, लेकिन जब वो अपने साथ वाले को देखते हैं तो उनका दिल दुखता है. They feel hurt that why I am paying tax honestly, why my neighbor who is not paying tax honestly and tax department is not doing anything to him. Now can we do something to that his neighbor who is not paying tax honestly? And that is going to be the biggest, honoring the honest taxpayer, like what Prime Minister said, honoring the honest taxpayer. This is how we are going to honor him. And that is where it is very essential that these selection of cases are proper and assessments are proper. Then of course, cooperation of everybody. We all are stakeholders, whether they are tax officers, whether taxpayer, tax consultants, everybody is a stakeholder. And everybody must contribute to the success of this scheme. If government has taken this huge step to bring out a reform which nobody thought about, absolutely is going to have a huge impact worldwide if this scheme is successful. In fact, there are already OECD countries are already writing to us to find out more about this reform that we have undertaken. All countries are having an eye on us. And if this reform is successful, it will be a great game changer, not only for India, but for other countries around the world. And therefore, it is all the more important for all the stakeholders to make a positive contribution for the success of this scheme. Once again, let me explain you with this example. IPL चल रहा है, सब देखते होंगे, मैं भी देखता हूँ. मैं तो खैर हुई बहुत शौकीन. दास साहब तो मुझे कहते हैं कि स्पोर्ट्स का बहुत ज्यादा शौकीन है. तो उसके अंदर आपका कोच, आपका मैनेजर कितनी भी स्कीम बना के 11 प्लेयर को अंदर भेज दे, हम वो 11 प्लेयर्स हैं, चाहे वो टैक्स पेयर हो, टैक्स कंसल्टेंट हो, टैक्स ऑफिसर हो, वो 11 प्लेयर अगर वो कैच ड्रॉप कर देगा, मिस फील्डिंग कर देगा, वाइड कर देगा, नो बॉल कर देगा, तो सब की सब स्कीम धरी की धरी रह जाएगी. So therefore, it is very important that we all contribute to the success of this scheme, and then only we can live up to the words of the Prime Minister that yes, that this scheme is successful. And for that, what are the 5 points that taxpayer and tax consultant must keep in mind? Number 1 is make sure that your email address and mobile address is properly populated in your e-filing system, because we are going to contact you through those email addresses and those mobile numbers that you have put it on your e-filing account. Make sure that is correct, and then respond in time. I mean, this has already been covered by my 2 seniors earlier, because now it is going to be an efficient system. You have been given a time, please respond in time. If you have genuine reason for not complying, do respond that you need some more time, but do comply with whatever communication you have received. And then be precise, very important. You know, just try to understand that you are the tax officer and somebody comes to you, you ask 5 questions and somebody comes to you with 500 pages of answer to those 5 questions. What will be your response? You know, so try to be precise and right, hitting at the right nail. You know, I'll just give you once again one example here. You know, when we were studying at IIM Lucknow, so my roommate, amazing person, I mean, Sunil Bhave, he's just amazing. Whenever exams used to be held, 3-hour exam, he will finish in 1.5 hours, 2 hours. And he will always top, always highest number. I mean, when we used to see his answer sheet, we used to write 5 pages, 6 pages, he used to write 2 pages. And always, and nobody had any grievance that why he got more marks than us. Because when you read his answer, you say, yeah, everything he has covered in 2 pages. Now, this is where the professionals who are expert in writing the right answer in a precise manner would always be in demand. Just to explain you know, when you go to a court, Supreme Court and High Court in particular, I'm not talking about ITAT and AAR, where lengthy argument takes place, but High Court and Supreme Court, they don't give you much time. They don't give much time to the council except when it is a constitutional matter. Otherwise, they will give you very limited time, and only those advocates and senior advocates are successful who know that in that limited time, what should they speak. And that is where your proficiency will come into important and will be tested. And then please ensure that if there is any unauthorized approach to you, please complain immediately. The purpose of this faceless assessment is that you will only get communication from National E-Assessment Center or National E-Appeal Center. And that communication will also be only either through email or mobile or video conferencing, not through telephone. So please ensure that any wrong approach to you should highlight, because if government wants transparency, then we all must cooperate to ensure that transparency and reciprocate the trust that department is imposing on you. If we are populating your 26 AS with information, please make sure that your return of income reflects those transactions. That will help you, that will help the department, and that will help you, our nation. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir, for explaining the entire procedure and nuances of these bold reforms in such a meticulous manner. And we, as a stakeholders, as a tax practitioners and tax professionals, would definitely try to abide by the must 5 points which we have just elaborated upon. And definitely the timeliness, the response to the notices in a timely manner, reciprocation of the trust, and updation of the electronic email IDs, correct email IDs, and as a stakeholder working as a team to make these bold reforms a grand success. Definitely we would try to contribute every bit of it in this noble initiative. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. This national faceless assessment centers and faceless appeal centers have been just now created and set up. But for me, the first faceless unit of the income tax department was CPC Bengaluru. I can still visualize those a decade back when the department used to organize tents and the filing of returns the tax practitioners and tax professionals used to queue for the lines to file their last minute returns, and everything was manual. Even return filing was manual. So we as a young professionals couldn't even think of those times when even a return filing was manual. And now everything has been made so easy, right from return filing till refund processing. The starting point, the return filing, and the ending point, that is the refund processing. Everything is taken so seamlessly by the CPC in a faceless manner. So for me, this faceless scheme itself works. The faceless unit of CPC is very integral to this faceless assessment scheme. And we are now fortunate to have Dr. Sibichan Matthew Ji with us, who are the director in CPC ITR, and we would love to have his enlightenment on this faceless scheme, sir. Dr. Matthew, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Respect Mr. Jal, he was my boss in Bangalore earlier when he was CCGDS, for the conceptual clarity you have given for the today's scheme. Thank you so much, sir. And respected SK Dash, sir, my last year, my boss. And in fact, he is an epitome of commitment. And I always found him so innovative. And he instills a lot of energy. What happened to this grievance? What happened to this processing? How much refund you issued? So much of inspiration by sir. The commitment, there is no match.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And Kamalaj, sir, for last, I think, several months, 24 hours work for executing this project of faceless assessment appeals. Amazing work by Kamalaj, sir. And anytime anybody can approach him with any clarification, any doubt, the reservoir of knowledge for faceless, regarding faceless assessment, faceless appeals. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir. And Taxmann group, which have been hosting this program, this is really appreciated because Taxmann is like another institution, like Income Tax Department. We all know about Taxmann for decades, for their meritorious service. In fact, you also collect taxes, along with us. We are one of the partners in the tax collection venture of Government of India. And let me also address my colleagues. Ashim Modi is here, and also Satyendra for this program here. And Naveen Vatwa, Dilip Agarwal, Narendra Goyal, Naran Jain, May Mohanka, Ramdio Kakra. Dear friends, this is a very important subject for all of us. All of us are treading a new path. You are having doubt, we are also having doubts, because we are implementing a new project, which is going to transform the way income tax returns are assessed, which is going to be, as senior officers have said, more accountability, more transparency and simplicity. That is what we are going to do it. I am going to focus only on the role of CPC-ITR. As Kamalesh sir said, this is being monitored and implemented by NESE and RESE. And in actual execution to help the assessing officers, that is done by ITBA. Ashim Modi is going to explain regarding that. What is the role of CPC-ITR? CPC-ITR, if I use some simple words, we are going to be the post office and bank for you. What is post office? We are going to receive whatever you want to give it to the assessing officers and appellate authorities. We are going to receive you on your behalf and on their behalf. And this we will be transmitting to them. Secondly, our usual job of processing. Now, we do 98% of returns we process in CPC-ITR. So we process the returns, and then all those cases that have been selected for faceless assessment, we have already transferred or in the process of transferring all those cases to jurisdictional officer. We have transferred the PAN to them, so they are having full jurisdiction and power over those cases. And once they complete the assessment, as mentioned by Kamalesh sir, once they finish the assessment and they will do the accounting, they will initiate the computation. They do the computation and they will send it to us for accounting. The computation they can do multiple times in case there's an error. They want to check up again, they will do that, and we will again account it. So, account it. And once the accounting is over, our usual procedure of issuing the refund. This is what CPC-ITR is going to do now. Now, coming to the faceless orders, how is it different from the normal? There's no difference. Earlier, how the assessing officer used to pass assessment order, same way they will pass this faceless assessment order and submit to us. No, as far as CPC's involvement is concerned, I'm saying. Usual 245 for demand adjustment, 241A for withholding the refund. All these are applicable for faceless assessment also. Now, regarding the bank account, since there was a specific query on bank account during the FAQs which have been sent by the tax practitioners to the taxman, let me focus on that first. So, bank account details already provided by the taxpayer in return filed in recent assessment years and validated by CPC, that is already linked to PAN. That means every year, once you have validated, you need not validate every year again and again. But in case it has been done through NPCI, then there may be this name matching will be there. But if it is done through the e-filing portal, name matching, once the PAN is linked to the bank account, there is no name matching issue come there also. Now, taxpayer can add or remove bank account anytime. Multiple validated bank account also they can keep. They can have more than 1, 2, 3, 4 validated bank accounts in the e-filing portal. But if they remove one account, or in case when we transmit a refund, if it fails, what we do is, after 7 days, we will remove that bank account from the e-filing portal. In case you want to check up which one was being removed by us, there is a provision in the e-filing portal where you can see removed bank account or failed refund bank account. You can view that and you can validate further bank account. And then the e-proceedings, all the e-proceedings related queries we have already incorporated in the e-filing portal. Please go to the e-filing portal. In the faceless proceedings, e-proceedings, what are the precautions you have to take? It has been clearly mentioned in the e-filing portal. Let me go through, or let me summarize some of the important things here. Now, what is the difference now between earlier assessment and present assessment? What happened? They will not you will come with a truckload of documents and submit to the assessing officer. When I was assessing officer also, when a scrutiny order is being made, I will also issue a notice asking for books of accounts of last 3 years. I don't even specify. What will happen? So much of documents will come to me. I will not have time to go through it. I will not have having the time to examine it in front of you. A lot of mistakes also used to happen. Now what happened? You will get a specific notice. In case they want a clarification on certain issues in the faceless assessment or appeal, you will get specific notice asking for certain things. Only that you have to provide. No, my one point I would like to say, read what is asked. Submit only that. As Kamalesh sir very nicely pointed out. Give in a very, what is important, what is to the point, only that you submit. Secondly, explain the way, see, the way you present before assessing officer. Physically, same way you present it in the covering note, which you send it to the assessing officer. Make it a summary of the most important things which you want to say, that you give. And another thing I would like to say, e-filing does not have the knowledge on what documents or information AO has asked. So don't expect in CPC e-filing center, when you file a document, don't ask me later that why you rejected, why you did not say that this is not relevant. E-filing portal, when we receive your document, we don't have the mechanism to go through whether you have submitted what assessing officer has asked. We will simply receive it and transmit to the assessing officer. And we have given a 4,000 character space to provide the written reply for the queries raised. This again, as Kamalesh said, please be to the point. I don't think we may require more than that to summarize your points, your arguments. And you can submit as many documents. See, earlier, remember when we had e-assessment, most of you face problems, when you uploaded the document, because only 5 MB was allowed. Now 10 MB is the maximum allowable limit, which you can submit a document. That document can be submitted, and up to 10 attachments you can give. 10 attachments you can give to ask to respond to the queries. The faceless assessments and appeals, these are all specific issues. Specific issues. Though even the 10 attachment may not be needed, because you are answering only to the point. And as AO can ask again for the documents, for the communication you can send. So when you do that, this 10 MB is actually sufficient. Now it is in a zip format. It has to be submitted. Now what happened in the experience of e-assessment earlier? Many assessing officers could not read what you are submitted. They could not even download it properly because in different format it was sent. Please ensure that you save the document in a PDF format, which is universally accepted. Universally that can be downloaded. There's no issue. Please download it, save it in a PDF format, and give a unique name for the submission. Give a unique name for each of your submission. And when you scan a document, please ensure that it is 300 DPI, because there is a specific customization you can do it. When you scan it, 300 DPI, and scan in black and white. Please do it in black and white. Scanning should be done, and ensure that it is not password protected. Sometimes what happens, you will put a password. Again, it will be a block. We may not be able to open it, and AO may not be able to, because again, it will take time. Again, AO has to communicate to you, and these problems are there. So, and when you scan multiple pages, please save it as a single file, because in e-assessment, that is our experience earlier. When you were submitting, not through e-filing, CPC e-filing, when you were submitting to assessing officers. In fact, I was interacting with many assessing officers, what they faced, what difficulty they faced in e-assessment. They were saying something like this: you scan the document, they multiple pages in different files. So all these have to be in a single file. Another thing, there is no differentiation between any proceedings in e-filing portal, if you see. To identify this assessment proceeding or appeal proceedings, This in the due course, we may be making that changes and have a different response window. We may be able to do it. Now it is a common response window. Now, e-filing would not be able to read whether documents attached are in user-readable format or not. So we may require a separate software for that. So that is why I ensure that it should be an easily readable format to submit that. Maybe in future, we may come with some sort of customization where we can change the format here itself, so that in case it is not readable for the assessing officer, we can do later. Now, someday taxpayer may get multiple notices. So these are the initial stages. There will be a lot of problems. So AO might be clicking it twice or thrice without knowing that notice already generated, because that visibility is not there for AO at this point of time. So you will see multiple 141 notices coming up. So don't be scared of that, because you know that it's a technical flaws. We'll be going to fix these issues. Now, in the faceless appeal, also same thing. Taxpayer can submit Form 35 without the need to choose the appeal authority before whom it needs to be submitted. And in appeal form submission screen, the taxpayer has to choose whether the order against which appeal is filed has DIN or no DIN. Once you choose, if DIN is chosen, all orders passed by the ITD for the given assessment year is provided as a drop-down menu, drop-down value for the taxpayer to choose. And many of the parameters of Form 35 gets pre-filled. So that is advantage of thing. So it will get pre-filled. You don't have to type again all these things, and can be shared with the ITBA or CPC with respect to that DIN, which will be very useful for you. Now, the facility to some of the things which we are in the process of developing based on the feedback, the facility to respond to a notice, irrespective of response due date mentioned in the notice, is going to be withdrawn. Now, as we discussed, our senior officers have mentioned already, this faceless assessment or faceless appeal has to be time bound. Your time is valuable. The time of officers also valuable. So we need to follow some sort of time frame when we respond to the notices. So we will be soon making some sort of timing, specific time, like 15 days time, whatever time. Only that time only the window will be opened. After the time is over, if this AO has given 15 days time, if you are not submitted, the window will be closed. You will not be able to submit that, because AO cannot indefinitely wait for that. But in case you want to submit later, you will got delayed, you can always communicate with the AO and get it opened. And once AO allows that, time get extended. And AO also can give suo moto adjournment also, or for submitting the documents that AO can give. So when an appeal form is submitted for the appeals, the CAT appeal will be provided with a functionality to either admit or reject the appeal form based on the whatever parameters which is available. So he can accept or reject. The status of such admittance or rejection will be reflected through e-proceedings module of the taxpayer. You can see, so you can correct it and resubmit it. Once submitted, rest of the notices issued by CAT appeal will be reflected in the e-proceeding module, and the submission window will be the same as assessment window. I know this also will be confusing for the taxpayers when tax councils when they do it. In the due course, we may do it. Distinguish these two things in the portal. We'll do at the earliest that. And a facility for taxpayer to seek video conferencing with assessing officer or CAT appeal is also being built. At present, it is not there. That is also being built. So the links of such video conferencing will be provided in the e-filing account. Once it is ready, the VC link will be there in the e-filing portal, so that you can have the video hearing with the assessing officer. Assessing officer also can initiate a video hearing process with the taxpayer. Adjournment request submission facility for this VC would also be made available once this is ready. E-filing is working also on a pre-login functionality for submission of response to third parties. When they verify certain cross verification with third parties, that functionality also will come to the e-filing portal. And there are several queries generally people ask regarding the format of wakalatnama while authorizing the AR, authorized representative. So along with the state-wise stamp duty would be made available. So that format will be made available now. Soon it will be made available. That we are in the process of doing that in the e-filing portal. Under the e-proceeding page, it will be available. And a functionality for submission of online rectification application against any order passed by IT, that also will coming in due course. Now, regarding this e-filing of, as I said earlier, we only deal with receipt of your documents and transmitting to the assessing officer. In case you have any doubt regarding any of the e-filing procedure for faceless assessment or faceless appeal, please, we have that number as well as the corresponding email at e-filing webmanager@incometax.gov.in. That is available in the portal itself. Please correspond with us. Only when you suggest something, then only we can improve the system. We take it very proactively, very positively, very pleasantly when you send a suggestion or a comment, because that is the way we can improve the system. You are free, feel free to send a suggestion to us. Now, regarding UDIN, all of you are aware, I'm not going to touch upon that. All the forms when we submit, UDIN is required, but not for the faceless appeal and faceless assessment submission of documents like this submissions of response to the queries by the assessing officer. It is not all of the things, you know, that is mandatory. Now, coming to the CPC ITR, once again, I would like to inform you that since 98% of returns filed in the country, we are processing. And we are processing something like 15 to 20 lakhs in a day. And this year onward, we have an ambitious target of trying to process maybe more than 50 lakh returns, maybe go up to 75 lakh returns per year. We are having a new project of CPC 2.0, which we are going to roll out by month end. So 2021 returns will be in the new platform. We are not started processing it. We are going to start soon once the platform is complete by month end. Next month onwards, you can start getting refunds of different ITR forms. One by one, you will be getting it. And let me tell you that average time of processing has been reduced to 87 days now. And if you see the refund returns up to 5 lakh, if you see, then a large number of taxpayers have a refund claim of less than 5 lakh. In 17-18, within 68 days, we process the refund returns. In 18-19, it has come to 66 days. And in 19-20, the average time for below 5 lakh claim or refund, the time taken is only 55 days. This is something which is amazing, because if you compare the tax systems of across the world, even advanced countries, we can see we are much ahead of process refund issue in Indian ecosystem. So now you'll be asking the question now, connected to this, let me come to this. Why so much of notices coming from CPC? No, you're saying this mismatch is coming, or prima facie adjustments are coming. Why so much of notices coming? So if you look at the entire large number of taxpayers who are filing return in CPC, we found only 2% of cases there is prima facie adjustment. Only 2% cases there is prima facie. That means 98% of returns accepted without any demand whatsoever. And why this is coming? Inconsistent information return, the income return is not filed properly. All of you know that entire thing is automated. If there is a minor error in filling your return, a column is not filled, a data in one column is inconsistent with the other column, a mandatory, you are claiming an exemption, mandatory schedule is to be attached, that is not attached, column is not filled. These are the reasons. So what I found that when a PFA communication is sent to you, I found in 90% of cases, once you get a reply, once you correct it, easily we can wipe off the demand, whatever shock was not to be issued. Very less number of cases, actual demand arises. So that means if you take care in filing the return properly, based whatever instructions given along with the return, if you follow that, there will be hardly any notices come to you. I mentioned even 26 AS also, if it is the claim is not, you are having a receipts you are shown, but you are not showing that in the return, as per the Income Tax Act, we have to reject that. That should match. And the 245 notice, whenever refund is delayed, you will ask why the refund is delayed. AO is saying that we have already completed the work. So you also know that if there is a demand somewhere, any year, immediately that will get adjusted. Before adjusting, we'll send a communication to you. Please respond back. So that is why if there is a PFA notice come to you, don't keep quiet. Please immediately correct your return and get the demand deleted in the system. Otherwise, whenever you have a refund later on, it will get automatically adjusted. No, of course, after sending a communication to you. So ensure that 245 communication is responded by you. Please also follow up the assessing officer that we also follow from the side that they will also respond to us. Now, one important thing, Kamalar sir was mentioning the faceless proceedings. One important thing is that what is that? Communication. Communication by department, from department to you, to the taxpayers. How it is communicated? Communicated through an email ID and a cell phone number, which you are given in the return. I will tell you from the experience in CPC ITR. We send prima facie adjustment communication to the taxpayer. In 75% of cases, dear friends, there is no response. There is no response. We are sending in the email ID given by you in the return. We are sending SMS in the cell phone number you are given in your return. We also check up your e-filing portal. In case that is not coming, e-filing portal, what email ID given, we are sending. Even then, 75% of communication, no response. What will happen? As per the Income Tax Act, after 30 days, if there is no response, we will quietly adjust the demand, or we will quietly make the prima facie adjustment. So please ensure that communication should be correct. Now in faceless assessment, now when you file the returns, the 2021 returns are being filed now. Please ensure that you give the correct email ID and SMS. Where the notice will come, hearing notice will come, or any other notice will come from the field, from the assessment units, or any other units, please ensure that you receive it. So this is very important that you ensure the taxpayer's email ID. See, many times what happens, you may be, many of the tax council may be auditing many number of returns. So what you do is you put your article clerk's email ID or some staff email ID. That person would have got transferred or shifted to another CFM or somewhere else. And he will not be able, he will not even respond to those things. So please ensure that you have primary email ID and secondary email ID. One, you make it to the taxpayer's email ID and phone number. And please inform him that it has to be communicated to the tax councils immediately when they get a notice. Now, these are the important things I would like to tell you regarding from CPC ITR. And we also we are committed to resolve your grievances. We will all your grievances. You don't think that only CP gram we are going to dispose of or some communication to the higher authorities. No, every grievance which have come to us like e-Nivaran or even a CIT CPC email ID or CPC ITR grievance email ID, whatever we are in time-bound manner, we are responding and we are committed to resolve all your grievances. I think with the joint effort of taxpayers, tax councils, institutions like Taxmann, definitely we can improve our taxpayer service. And let me give you the good news again about 2.2.0. The 2.0, which we are going to launch by month end, is going to give enhanced experience to our taxpayers. Some of the highlights are we are going to, stage by stage, we are going to bring pre-filled IT forms. We are going to bring in mobile apps. We are going to issue refunds faster, and real-time chat system and virtual assistant will be there to assist the taxpayers, and also faster resolution of grievances and also demand facilitation program. So CPC ITR is committed, and CPC ITR and e-filing is a joint venture now onwards. For this month onwards, we are going to have it together. Any doubt, any suggestions, you are always free to communicate to us. We are here to help you and to make the taxpayers service more robust. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot, sir, for addressing almost very fundamental and crucial issues which we face on day-to-day basis, and your practical tips on filing effective, qualitative and pointed responses to the scrutiny notices. Really, we will benefit a lot, and our audience, which have raised now in thousands in number, will definitely benefit a lot from the ground level aspect. You have touched each and everything, sir. Really grateful to you, sir. And with this, ITBA module, income tax business module, friends, this e-proceedings tab was very much there, and this faceless assessments have been implemented with effect from assessment year 2018-19. But the initial pilot projects and for 2016-17 were already in place, and the functionality the e-proceedings functionality, which made it possible, was due to income tax business application module. And so now we are fortunate to have Mr. Asim Modi ji with us, who are the CIT in ITBA, to enrich us about the back-end processing and how it will facilitate and the smooth faceless assessments. Sir, Asim Modi, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayank.
Thanks,
Most of the aspects of faceless assessment and faceless appeal is covered by Principal CC Kolkata, Jha sir, then SK Das sir. I worked with SK Das sir for 6 months, then Kamlesh sir, Sibichan sir. I will discuss the internal aspect, like ITBA income tax business application is a module where income tax officer, assessing officer works. So this mechanism is in a way isolated. We have interaction mechanism with CPC, we have interaction mechanism with e-filing and insight. So just to summarize, as far as taxpayer phase is concerned, the interaction is through e-filing and CPC. As far as data analytics is concerned, Project Insight is there, and the departmental officers, they work in ITB. And all three of us interact with each other using latest technology. So in the context of this faceless, I will summarize it in a way that when in the earlier system, assessing officer used to do three things. He used to issue questionnaires, that is the work of AU right now. Then he used to make himself verification. He used to issue 133.6, 131. So he used to do the work of verification on it. Then he used to take a call on the legal issues. It's a complicated issue. He used to consult his seniors, his colleagues, and then he used to take a call. This is the work of TU. So what we have done, a work of assessing officer, which was there, let us say till 2016, it is divided among AU, VU, and TU. And this is our internal matter. One thing more, I will again highlight, Kamlesh sir has already said this, AU, VU, TU, these three units won't be aware of identities of each other. Everything will be through NEAC, and all allotments to a particular VU officer or TU officer, this will be automated. Even NEAC will not also be aware which officer has got the verification. So this is the beauty of anonymity, I will say, and it will bring subjective, it will reduce the subjective, and it will bring objectivity in the system. And AU, VU, and TU, these three have their own team. AO is supported by JCIT. There is administrative control of PCIT, and CC is there. So the summary is that we have practically the same system which was there around 2 years back, but it is our internal process has changed. So as far as taxpayer is concerned, they have to look AU, VU, TU as a single unit. We in the ITBA are trying to make this interaction as smooth as possible, just like any other software. We are developing it. We are facing some problem. It is being brought to our notice by stakeholders. We are trying to improve it. And I assure you that in coming weeks, the interaction between AU, VU, TU will be completely smooth, and outsiders should feel that it's a single unit of the department. Now, I'm coming to the next point. How does ITBA...
Sir, I am humbly interrupting you in between, sir. Kindly put on your video, sir, so that everybody is able to see you, sir.
Video I have switched on. It's on from my side.
Okay, sir. Then there is some technical problem, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, I request you to, sir, continue. I humbly request you to continue. Okay.
Another aspect is that how does ITBA interact with taxpayer? ITBA selects latest email ID from the latest file or the recent return of income filed. So I will request that the taxpayer should give his correct and updated email ID in the latest return of income. We fetch it from there. The computer system uses that email ID, and AO sends it to the e-filing portal. And a separate mail is also sent at that email ID. So if some taxpayer has some issue with email ID, so whenever he has opportunity to file the latest return of income, he should file the latest correct email ID. And even then, if he has some problem, then naturally, as Sibichan sir has said, he should contact the e-filing portal for correcting it. Because in ITBA, we have interaction only with the assessing officer. Any interaction with the taxpayer has to be through e-filing or CBC portal. At times we get mails from the taxpayer also, but we are bound by certain rules. We refer it back to the jurisdictional assessing officer or the other officers, and whenever they revert it back, we respond to that. One important aspect that at many forum it is raised is 154, how to do 154, where some assessment order, appeal effect, or something is to be done. For that, right now, the mechanism is that the taxpayer should file application with the jurisdictional assessing officer through Aikar Seva Kendra Ask. As Sibichan sir has said, that the module for online rectification in circumstances that deals with assessing officer is being developed. It is under process. Maybe in few weeks this will be live, but till then it is requested that the rectification or any issue like appeal effect, reduction of demand, these things can be filed through DAC. Specific to demand, I will say the disagreement with the demand can be filed in the e-filing portal. I am giving you one more example. In December 18 and December 19, we did more than 3 lakh assessment, and most of this assessment were done through e-proceedings. That means department, means ITBA, the officers, they already have experience of e-proceedings. So as far as the outer world vis-a-vis ITBA is concerned, we did more than 3 lakh scrutiny assessment. So our officers are aware of the modalities. So only thing is that we are fine-tuning this by way of training, webinar, interaction among each other through RTIs. In this particular context, from the perspective of ITBA, I will bring one issue that a large number of, means maybe hundreds and thousands of tickets, then hundreds of CP-gram e-Nivaran we receive. Tickets are raised from the assessing officer. All of them mostly deals with issues like give effect order on penalty, give effect order on 143.1, 143.3, then wrong demand adjustment. There is a refund, and each time some demand keeps on adjusting with refunds. Then there is issue of challan correction. Then there is issue of rectification. I joined ITBA in January. So that time, Das sir was my boss from January to June. Sir had this brilliant idea, and under his guidance, we executed it. We analyzed hundreds of tickets. We analyzed hundreds of CP-gram, e-Nivaran. We had interaction with fill formation, and we created a bunch of questions. The questions run in more than 100 questions relating to different modules: rectification, challan, demand correction, give effect of penalty assessment. And the result is that we have created FAQs on each of these topics. Through this webinar, through this session, I would like to communicate to the field officers, assessing officers, that these FAQs are available on the ITBA portal. For accessing this, one does not need any login password. It is at the one does not need, for accessing the ITBA this FAQ on the ITBA portal, but does not need any login user ID or password. It is in the pre-login page. I will request all assessing officers to go through this FAQ, and our test experience has showed that if somebody has followed or read these FAQs, 60 to 70% of taxpayers' grievances are gone. Most of the time, we make mistakes because we are not aware of the processes. So I will summarize. Earlier, before 2007, we had manual system. After 2007 till 2015-16, we had AST. And 16-17 onwards, we are having ITBA. So there is, at sometimes there are communication gaps. The assessing officer has to give rectification for assessment in tier 12-13, but he tries on ITBA. It cannot be done because that was done in the AST. Suppose we did something for 17-18. He tries to do rectification in AST. He cannot do because 17-18 is on ITBA. Similarly, for assessment year 6-7, he tries to do something on AST. It cannot be done because that time AST was not there. The summary is that in that FAQ, we have mentioned in categorical terms, like if this is the assessment year, this is the base order like penalty or 143.3 or 143.1, then you should follow these steps. I am sure by way of this webinar, if assessing officer goes through, most of them have gone through, but it keeps on updating almost every week. I will again request all of them to go through that. It will take hardly 2-3 hours to go through this. No need to remember, just one should be aware, okay, this question was there. When he comes up with some grievance of the taxpayer, acha ye demand challan correction karna hai, PAN to TAN or TAN to PAN or PAN to PAN. Acha, this is there in the FAQ. Then he has to open it, he has to refer it. So this is one thing, one aspect that I am sure will reduce thousands of grievances of the taxpayer. Since we have committed ourselves through Citizens Charter, as seniors have told in this forum, we have to provide the best possible tax services. And one of them is that if somebody has grievances of wrong demand, wrong adjustment, incorrect refund, we are duty bound to give them. And we have tried to improve it by way of FAQs on the ITBA Health Guide in the pre-login ITBA page. Apart from this aspect, the ITBA is a software-based system. Due to the use of latest technology, it is being upgraded constantly. We are using different mechanism for integration with CPC Insight, and that mechanism we are trying to improve every day. Due to new security threats, our security scenarios have also changed. So all these facts have resulted into continuous upgradation of ITBA. I will give you an example. In the last 10 months that I am here, not a single day has passed where we have not run a software. Every day, even weekend, holiday, every day we run some or other software to improve it. In coming days, I am sure that it will give a good user experience to our officers, and which in turn, I'm sure they will provide similarly good services to the taxpayers. I am thankful to the Taxmann for giving this opportunity, for bringing these facts before larger audience. I am particularly thankful to Dash sir. Whatever I am doing has been initiated by Dash sir. I have carried forward his work. Thankful to Sibijan sir. I keep on bothering him whenever we face some issue with CPC. Then Kamlesh sir is there, who is in the TPL. He did all exercise which we are trying to implement, convert into software. And thank you, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Ashim sir, for sharing your valuable insights onto the backend processing, that is the ITBA module, and that particular thing that ensuring faster resolution of grievances of the taxpayers by logging into the pre-login of the FAQs by all the income tax officials. So really grateful and thankful to all the dignitaries from the income tax department, sir. Sir, now we are coming to our next session, and that is question answer session. Friends, I have always believed that even perfection has a little room for improvement. So no doubt, these bold reforms of faceless assessments and faceless schemes have been drafted and implemented very meticulously and with accurate precision, but still it is not uncommon for these bold reforms to face some initial teething problems during the initial phases of its implementation. And that is why through this webinar, we will try to redress the certain crucial administrative and legal issues so as to allay the fears of the stakeholders. So with this, we are opening up the floor panelists, and I am inviting my esteemed seasoned tax practitioners, the panelists, who are ready with their questions. So kindly do the honors, sir. First, I would request Mr. Narendra Goyal ji, sir, to put forward their questions, sir, to the esteemed panel from the department side.
Thank you, Mr. Mayank. Respected dignitaries, panelists, organizers, and viewers. We heard the words of wisdom from all speakers, Jahan Saab, Das Saab, Kamlesh sir, Matthew sir, and Modi sir. And they have generally summarized everything in few words. Still some questions remain unanswered, and we'll be taking one by one questions to have a deeper analysis on the subject. My questions will be centering around the provisions in the faceless scheme regarding revision, review, verification, and use of artificial intelligence. So, Mr. Bank, can I start putting the question before you, and you'll select the person for reply?
Sir,
or I can ask.
Sorry, sir, you can ask the question, sir. And
Okay.
first of all, our questions are to Shri Kamlesh sir.
Okay.
Because these are pertaining to the CBDT itself. Therefore, yes.
Yes, I'm clear.
Please go ahead, sir. Kindly go ahead, sir. Yes.
So, what are the provisions with regard to review of cases in faceless scrutiny? Because as we know, the assessing officer himself cannot review a case. So, the specific provisions related to review of completed assessments, what are the provisions?
So this is part of the faceless assessment scheme. As I had explained in my address as well, that assessment units, when it completes the assessment, it sends it to the National E-Assessment Center. And then National E-Assessment Center, as per the risk management strategy, decides whether this case is to go for review. And if it has to go for a review according to that criteria, then that case get automatically assigned to any review unit. So, and then that review unit will carry out the review and will send its observation to National E-Assessment Center. They can agree with what assessment unit has proposed in the draft order, or they can suggest some changes. If they suggest some changes, then National E-Assessment Center will allocate that case again to another assessment unit other than the earlier one. And then that assessment unit will consider the draft order and will also consider the suggestions given by the review unit. And then he will prepare a final draft order and send it to the National E-Assessment Center.
Thank you, sir. So in case one has to make a request for personal hearing, how that request is to be made and how the NESC will dispose of the request, what will be the guidelines for into the consideration of allowing personal hearing?
So that guideline is under preparation, because both E-Assessment Scheme and National this Faceless Assessment Scheme and Faceless Appeal Scheme both have provisions that you can make a request to Regional E-Assessment Center or Regional E-Appeal Center for personal hearing. And personal hearing here means hearing through video conferencing or other such facilities. And then there would be a criteria which would be decided in consultation with CBDT. We will come out with some criteria that if you fulfill these criteria, then personal hearing will be granted. So this is what the law or the scheme is right now.
Sir, humbly here, I would like to add one thing, because this particular question, that is granting of personal hearing through video telephony opportunity. This is the contention of bone, sir, since ages, because the principle of natural justice. On 16th of October itself, the Honorable Delhi High Court has admitted one petition in Buddhi Raja case, Lakshya Buddhi Raja, wherein the discretionary powers of the directors of regional e-assessment is the matter of litigation, sir. So, and currently the circumstances in which this opportunity may be granted are also yet to be notified, sir. So can we have insights that by when these circumstances will be notified, sir?
So it is, I mean, those circumstances would be notified. I mean, I can't give you the exact dates, but yes, the matter is before Honorable Delhi High Court, and our circumstances also have to be notified. So let us see. I mean, let those circumstances be examined by Honorable High Court, whether they violate the principle of natural justice or they conform to the principle of natural justice. And since the matter is before court, probably not right for me to say anything more. But yes, we are aware of that, and we still have to notify the circumstances. And we are hopeful that once we notify the circumstances, it will satisfy the court.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you. Sir, Narayan sir, sorry, Narendra Goel sir.
Yes, sir.
We can proceed with
my
next question,
my next question was regarding verification unit's function. Like the verification unit has been entrusted with the examination and cross-examination. So what is the process they will follow while examining and allowing cross-examination, and question connected to it? If anybody opts for asking for a cross-examination, whom he has to approach, the jurisdictional layer or the verification unit?
No, verification unit. So verification unit, once it is examining a witness and collecting evidence of a witness, and you want to cross-examine, then probably your communication channel is with National E-Assessment Center for the assessee. So assessee can always, say that if there is any evidence, see, verification unit has collected evidences, and he has forwarded it to National E-Assessment Center. National E-Assessment Center has forwarded it to assessment unit. Assessment unit has converted into a draft assessment order. So either the draft assessment order has been communicated to the taxpayer, or after the draft assessment order, it has gone through the review and another unit, and it has become a final draft assessment order, or that final draft assessment order has been communicated to the taxpayer. So if I'm a taxpayer, if I get this draft assessment order, and I see that this order is relying on a particular witness, I want cross-examination of that witness. So I will write to the, in response to my answer, I will write to the National E-Assessment Center that I need to cross-examine this witness. So that facility will be provided through video conferencing.
So there could be two situations into this, that one opportunity I want to avail after receiving the draft order, and the second opportunity I might be availing at the time when the verification is going on. Like the verification will be a two-way process, one through 133.6, another through 131, or maybe video telephony, video conferencing. So when you start the verification on the video conferencing system, at that time, if I want to avail that facility of cross-examining, so at that time, will the verification unit entertain my request, or I have to again approach through the National E-Center?
I think at this stage, the video conferencing facility is after the draft assessment order.
Thank you, sir. So my next question will be with regard to exercise of revisionary powers under section 263, 264. Will it not defeat the purpose of faceless, like 263, 264 action, if initiated later on? And since the well thought out assessment orders will be passed by a team which has taken into consideration every aspect of the assessment. So first of all, is 262, 264 warranted? If warranted, under what circumstances? And will it not defeat the entire purpose of the faceless?
So 264 is basically taxpayer friendly measure. So let us restrict ourselves to 263, which department can review an order which is passed by an assessment unit, or which is being completed using team-based jurisdiction-less scheme, that is the faceless assessment scheme. So as I said earlier, it is not that there won't be any mistake. We are all human beings, so anybody can commit a mistake. So chances are less. So chances of using 263 against the assessment order passed in a team-based manner would be less, particularly when that order has also been reviewed. But chances are still there. One cannot rule out complete, that error-free, 100% error-free work from anybody, because nobody is perfect. All human beings are prone to mistake, and therefore these provisions are required in the Act. Though we made changes, the government have made changes to 263, so that now 263 can be done by the Chief Commissioner, considering that team-based assessment would have involvement of Commissioner also. So therefore that corresponding changes were introduced, which has been passed by the Parliament and accented by the President of India. So now Chief Commissioner can also do 263. So that was a very logical demand, and that has been done. But 263 needs to be in the Income Tax Act, though it may be used sparingly, not very frequently, but it is required.
Sir, one allied question to this, Mr. Mank. Can I just finish my question?
Please.
One allied question is that since the time of assessment has significantly reduced, earlier we used to have 3 years post the commencement of the assessment year. When we started practice, say 30 years back, at that time the assessment used to commence after 3 years from the beginning of the assessment year, and now the period has substantially reduced. But the corresponding period under Section 263 and 148, 147, 148 proceedings remain the same. So do we still need to have 4 years time to still understand whether this assessment needs to be reviewed? So corresponding changes were not done when 263 and 263 matter was being thought. Just one aspect I like to bring it to your notice so that you can take it up later on. And Mr. Mank, you can continue with your question.
Sir, just to add one small thing, that this the Taxation Amendment Act 2020 have also inserted some enabling provisions in the Income Tax Act itself, sir, so as to this exercise of revisionary powers under Section 263 can also be conducted in a faceless manner, sir. So with effect from 1st of April 2021, can we expect the scheme to be notified, sir?
So I cannot tell you when the scheme will be notified. These are all work in progress. This provision will come into effect from 1st April 2021. Right now, I cannot give you any time frame when the faceless 263 will come into force.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thank you.
So my next question is with regard to the binding judgments. In your speech, you have mentioned that there will be India level uniformity in all the assessments. And if a stand is taken with regard to one SSC, the same stand will be taken in case of other SSC. But now we have so far been relying upon the jurisdictional high courts and jurisdictional ITAT decisions in case of a particular place. So like one SSC is from West Bengal, another is from Andhra. And if he's relying upon some jurisdictional high court decisions, and if the faceless scheme permits use of uniform judgments, so how that that aspect will be taken care of?
So your question relates to faceless appeal scheme, and in my view, your question is not relevant for faceless assessment.
Right, sir. Right.
Because in faceless assessment, even today, in a normal assessment that was happening before faceless assessment, even if jurisdictional high court decision is in favor of the taxpayer, but department has gone in appeal into Supreme Court, the assessing officer was still making the addition. That is a normal way of functioning, because if he doesn't make the addition and suppose tomorrow we win in Supreme Court, then there is no way we can rectify that and recover the demand if the addition was not made. So this is the way it is happening. I mean, if once our faceless system settles down and our computer captures all information, then probably we can think of something, some kind of a system where taxpayer says that if he loses the appeal, if on that issue, the department wins in Supreme Court, then automatically this demand will be recoverable from the taxpayer. One can think of those things. If you remember, there is already one provision in the Income Tax Act, but I don't know how many people are using that provision. That is, if in your case you have taken up in the appeal, and then you can fill up a form, and then the tax department assessing officer will keep that issue alive and will go as per the final decision of the Supreme Court. That provision is already there in the Income Tax Act, but I don't know how many people use that provision. But once a faceless system stabilizes and everything is being captured, then probably one can think of a system where this will happen. But it doesn't really matter. That uniformity will always be there irrespective of High Court decision for assessment. But for appeal, CIT appeal is bound by the decision of the jurisdiction High Court. That will continue even under the faceless appeal scheme. And for that matter, if you see the faceless appeal scheme, the jurisdiction where the PAN lies, the PAN of the taxpayer, if it lies in Delhi, then it doesn't matter. The case is allocated to a commissioner appeal in Karnataka. He will go by the Delhi High Court decision. So that is already there in faceless appeal scheme.
So the next issue is related to section 148.1. The NESC will have the powers to issue 148.1 notice, or the powers will vest with jurisdictional AO. So since
148 notices are to be issued by jurisdiction AO, the jurisdiction of the faceless comes after that. See, as I explained it in my address, that there are pre-assessment work, there are post-assessment work. Pre-assessment work and post-assessment work remain with the jurisdictional assessing officer, and it is only the assessment work which has got shifted to the faceless assessment center. So 148 issuance of notice is still with the jurisdictional assessment officer, and that just like 263, that is also proposed to be made in a faceless manner from 1st April 2021, but that scheme is to be notified.
And sir, who will dispose of the replies to the reasons of reason to believe? Supposing I received a notice from the jurisdictional AO stating the reasons, and I furnish a reply, the NESC is going to dispose of that?
So, because, see, let us try to understand. This question, your question pertains to the judgment of Delhi High Court, who has laid down 2 stages of assessment consequent to issue of 148 notice. But that is part of assessment. And that is a procedure laid down by Delhi High Court. It is not part of the act. And therefore, it is not part of the scheme also, because it is something which has been laid down by the court, and therefore, that process has to be followed by National E-Assessment Center, because that is the process laid down by the court, and it is part of the assessment. It is not a pre-assessment work. It is part of the assessment. Delhi High Court said that, okay, fine, return has been filed, and then assessee asked for the reasons why 148 was issued to him. You supply him the reason, and then he objects to that issuance of notice. That reasons are not good enough for issuance of notice. So Delhi High Court says that you need to dispose of that reason first before making an assessment. Now that procedure which Delhi High Court has laid down is not part of the act. But yes, we have to follow that procedure, and that procedure is part of the assessment procedure. So the National Assessment Center is to follow that procedure.
Right. And so the circumstances in which this scrutiny case will be transferred to jurisdictional AO by the NESC, we have a provision for that. So what are the circumstances in which this type of cases will be transferred to jurisdiction?
So once again, those circumstances have still not been notified by the CBDT, but there are going to be very few circumstances. I mean, normally the cases would remain with the faceless assessment team, and there would be very, very few, pressing circumstances which would necessitate the cases to be transferred to the non-faceless system.
So regarding 147, 148 notices, notice under section 148, who should have the reason to believe that income has escaped the assessment? The jurisdictional AO who has not even assessed my case?
No. See, देखिए इसमें क्या है, ये jurisdictional AO के पास है information, और वो ही अपना दिमाग लगाएगा कि ये 148 के जो भी पैरामीटर्स हैं वो सेटिस्फाई हुए हैं कि नहीं हुए हैं, क्योंकि वो इंफॉर्मेशन फेसलेस असेसमेंट के पास नहीं जाएगी। 148 की इंफॉर्मेशन जो आई है, जो हमने डेटा कलेक्ट किया है सिस्टम की टीम ने, और वो असेसिंग ऑफिसर को भेज दिया, अब असेसिंग ऑफिसर जो जुडिशियल असेसिंग ऑफिसर है वो अपना देखेगा, रिकॉर्ड देखेगा, चेक करेगा ITBA में कि भैया ये रिफ्लेक्टेड है कि नहीं है। हो सकता है कि वो कुछ उसको वेरीफाई भी करे, और फिर अगर उसको लगता है कि हाँ भाई ये तो उसने ये नहीं दिखाया है, तो देन ही विल इशू नोटिस अंडर 148, and he is the one who is going to issue notice under 148, that is jurisdiction officer, because issuance of notice under 148 is pre-assessment work, that is still with the jurisdiction AO. Only assessment work has shifted to Faceless Assessment Center.
And so the verification unit, while doing the verification, is the scope of verification assigned to them is detailed by the assessment unit? Because will the verification unit have access to all the data which is with the assessment unit? Because otherwise there may be rowing inquiries also, if the scope of that is not defined by the assessment unit.
So there should not be any roving inquiry. It is very clear, the scheme says very clear, it is assessment unit who has to decide what verification do they want. And then they will send that reference to National E-Assessment Center, and from National E-Assessment Center, it will get allocated to a verification unit. So verification unit will know exactly what verification is required to be done in that case, which is mandated by the assessment unit. It is not something which is going to be a roving inquiry.
And sir, how the source documents will be verified by the verification unit? Supposing as evidence, I am to show some source documents, how those documents will be shown through digitalizing them or some other process?
Absolutely. It will be all through digital means. You have also submitted through digital means. You have also not submitted a hard copy. You have submitted through digital means to me. Suppose I am the assessment unit. I forward it to, you submit it to National E-Assessment Center and he has given it to me. I make a reference of verification of this document to National E-Assessment Center electronically. And then electronically, National E-Assessment Center will send it to the verification unit.
Mr. Bank, for more questions.
Thanks a lot, sir. Now
Thank you, Kamlesh, sir.
Thank you.
Now I would request Shri D.K. Agarwal, sir, to put forth his questions, sir, to the panelists. And sir, Kamlesh, sir, we will keep you busy for a little more longer. So our questions are to you only, sir.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Okay.
Agarwal, sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Good afternoon, dignitaries from the department and my fellow colleagues. I wish to put the questions in the mixture of Hindi and English, because some of the viewers, they have requested that if it will be the mixture. So the first question is that under the faceless appeal scheme, personal hearing may be granted if request is covered by the circumstances mentioned in the scheme. But under the faceless assessment scheme, there is no reference of the circumstances oblique the condition pursuant to which the personal hearing will be granted. सर ये अपील में तो है ऐसा, मगर असेसमेंट में ऐसा फेसलेस में प्रोविजन नहीं है, इसका क्या है सर?
नहीं दिलीप जी, ऐसा नहीं है, ये दोनों में प्रोविजन है। अपील के अंदर भी ये प्रोविजन है और असेसमेंट के अंदर भी ये प्रोविजन है, बल्कि एग्जैक्टली सेम प्रोविजन है। मयंक भाई ने तो इस पे किताब लिखी है, वो बता देंगे कि मैं कुछ गलत बोल रहा हूँ क्या।
उन्होंने ये मुझको बनाए भेजा था जो है द क्वेश्चन।
नहीं सर, ये इसमें बिल्कुल सर, I completely agree with you, sir, because the provisions and the language of the provisions are exactly same in both the schemes, and in both the schemes the circumstances are there, but these are yet to be notified by the CBD.
हाँ बिल्कुल नोटिफाई अभी हमें करना है, लेकिन वो जो प्रोविजन है वो सेम प्रोविजन अपील में भी है, सेम प्रोविजन असेसमेंट में भी है।
Yes.
और वही पॉइंट जो अपील में हाई कोर्ट के सामने है वो असेसमेंट में भी लागू होता है कि अभी सर्कमस्टांसेस नोटिफाई होने हैं, और वो असेसमेंट में भी नोटिफाई होने हैं, वो अपील में भी नोटिफाई होने हैं कि किन सर्कमस्टांसेस में वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के थ्रू पर्सनल हियरिंग अलाउ होगी।
सर कुछ मेरे जो क्वेरीज है जो आपने पहले ही आंसर कर दिए थे कि जो प्रोसीजर है, एसओपीज है, प्रोसीजर है, कब नोटिफाई होंगे, तो आपने उसका बताया कि जल्दी ही नोटिफाई हो जाएंगे, तो मोस्ट प्रोबब्ली वी विल गेट द नोटिफिकेशन एज द अर्लीस्ट, एंड ऑल द एसएससी एंड द वीटेक्स प्रैक्टिशनर विल get all the informations. सर एक क्वेश्चन है कि एक टेलीफोनिक लोकेशंस आप कहीं इस स्कीम में आप प्रोवाइड करेंगे टैक्स पेयर्स को जिसका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, सर उसके बारे में थोड़ा हाईलाइट।
नहीं, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, देखिए ये तो है ही, क्योंकि हर एक टैक्स पेयर के पास सुविधा नहीं होती है कि उसके घर में इंटरनेट हो या उसके टैक्स कंसल्टेंट के घर में इतना इंटरनेट या वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग की फैसिलिटी हो। हालांकि अब तो काफी एडवांस हो गया है, अब तो काफी लोग वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग कर लेते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी मतलब डिपार्टमेंट ने सोचा है कि हम सुविधा देंगे, खास करके जो टीयर 2 और टीयर 3 ऐसे जगह पे हैं जहां पर ऐसा हो सकता है कि टैक्स पेयर जो करदाता है उसके पास में सुविधा ना हो, तो हम अपनी तरफ से सेंटर बनाएंगे जो आयकर सेवा केंद्र होते हैं, उस समय हम एक सुविधा देंगे जिससे कि टैक्स पेयर वहां आ जाए और वहां जाके वो जो भी समय उसको दिया गया है, जो भी दिन उसको निर्धारित है, उस दिन पे उस समय पे आकर वो वहां पर अपना हमारी फैसिलिटी यूज करके और वो वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग कर ले।
सर वो इसमें
तो भी नोटिफाई होने हैं। हाँ
सर उसमें जैसे अभी वो जो एसएससी है, जो भी आदमी है वो जो यूज करेगा आपका सेंटर, उसमें मतलब इट विल बी ए सोल डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ दैट एसएससी और द समबडी विल बी देयर ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट।
नहीं, वो मैनेज तो डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से ही होगा ना।
नहीं, डिपार्टमेंट तो होगा, मगर आप जहाँ एक फैसिलिटी प्रोवाइड करेंगे वहाँ डिपार्टमेंट का बंदा जिसे कनेक्ट कर दिया, उसके बाद वो वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग हो रहा है। सो वेदर द सम ऑफिसर्स विल बी देयर because the attendance of the officers sometimes in the video conferencing।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल आपकी सही बात है, ये सब फाइनल पॉइंट्स अभी डिसाइड होने हैं, लेकिन आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है। ऑफिसर की वहां पे मौजूद होने का मतलब एक बार जब चालू हो गया वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग तो वो तो वहां पे उस समय तो या तो एसएससी होना चाहिए या उसके एसएससी के जो भी कंसल्टेंट है, एडवोकेट है, सीए है, वो होना चाहिए। वो तो किसी को होने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारी तरफ से जो भी आदमी है वो तो दूसरी तरफ है, वीडियो में दूसरी तरफ है, वो तो बिल्कुल सही है, वो वहां नहीं होना चाहिए।
सर और एक ये कि बहुत सारे जो स्टेट्स में अपनी एक वर्नाकुलर में अकाउंट्स वगैरह होते हैं।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
के लिए हमारे फेसलेस में कैसे उसकी एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी होगी?
नहीं, बिल्कुल होगी एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी। अगर मान लो कि कोई तमिलनाडु के अंदर कोई करदाता है, टैक्स पेयर है, और उसने अपना तमिल भाषा के अंदर जवाब दिया है, तो बिल्कुल सही है, उसमें कोई रोक नहीं है कि वो तमिल भाषा में जवाब नहीं दे सकता है। वो डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर भी अपने फैसिलिटी होगी कि उसको अनुवाद करने के लिए, उसको ट्रांसलेट करने के लिए, तो वो सब होगा। मतलब ऐसा जैसा सिस्टम अभी चल रहा है, अभी भी आप तमिल के लोग तमिल में देते होंगे। मैंने तो काम नहीं किया है वहां पर, मुझे पता नहीं है, लेकिन वो देते होंगे ऐसा मुझे लगता है। और सब जगह लोग अपना भाषा में जवाब देते होंगे, गुजराती लोग गुजराती में देते होंगे जवाब, तो वो वैसे ही चलता रहेगा।
सर ये खाली रिस्ट्रिक्ट टू रिप्लाईज होगा ना? अकाउंट्स भी, अकाउंट्स में तो मोस्ट प्रोबेबली मुझे आइडिया नहीं है कि भाई तमिल या और कोई भाषा में कोई अकाउंट्स होता हो, सो इट इज एप्लीकेबल टू अकाउंट्स आल्सो और विद रिगार्ड टू रिप्लाई।
देखिए, मुझे भी ये नहीं मालूम है कि ये अकाउंट्स में ऐसा होता है क्या है, लेकिन जो प्रैक्टिस अभी चल रही है वो ही चलती रहेगी। मतलब है,
तो उसमें सुविधा होता है, उसमें क्या होता है कि जैसे हमारे बंगाल कहीं भी है, हम बंगाल में है, तो बंगाली जो है जितने भी ऑफिसर्स है दे आर नोन टू दी बंगाली स्क्रिप्ट, सो इट इज रीडेबल, तो वो अकाउंट्स को देख भी सकते हैं, वेरीफाई भी कर सकते हैं। तो
नहीं, वो तो देखिए बिल्कुल, अब कोई ये तो मान के चलिए कि अगर आप बंगाली के अंदर अकाउंट्स आज के दिन में लिख रहे हैं, तो कोई आपको ये नहीं कहेगा कि आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हैं, आप वैसे ही कीजिए जैसा आप कर रहे हैं। वो डिपार्टमेंट को देखना है कि उसको कैसे पढ़ना है।
जी सर, मैं एक दो क्वेश्चन माइंड स्किप कर रहा हूँ, जो कि खाली एफएक्यू कब पब्लिश होगा ऐसा चीज है, तो वो पहले ही डिस्कस कर लिया है, सो टू सेव द टाइम।
ठीक है सर, बिल्कुल।
ऑन द सम अदर इश्यूज सर, नोटिसेस के बारे में हमारा सारा ईमेल और आप व्हाट्सएप में देने का बात कर रहे हैं, तो एक ये जो चीज है, एक एटलीस्ट जो है कोई भी नोटिस बाय पोस्ट भी जाने की कोई इसमें प्रोविजन है क्या अपने फेसलेस में?
मुझे लगता है कि अभी जो नोटिस दिए गए हैं, शायद कुछ बात चल रही थी, मैं इस चीज को डील नहीं करता हूँ। असीम है वहां पे, असीम अगर तुम जवाब देना चाहो। मुझे लगता है कि अभी जो नोटिस इश्यू हुए हैं तो शायद फिजिकल नोटिस की भी बात चल रही है। मुझे आई कैन नॉट कंफर्म ऐसा हो गया, बिकॉज मैं इस एरिया को डील नहीं करता हूँ। बट
हमारा एक हम्बल सबमिशन रहेगा कि एटलीस्ट
आशिम गो अहेड
सर नोटिसेस जो हैं फिजिकल नहीं जाएंगे सर, अभी कुछ एक एक्सेप्शनल सर्कमस्टांसेस में जहां हम सर कांटेक्ट नहीं कर पाए हैं टैक्स पेयर को, सिर्फ उसमें गया है, बट दैट इज जस्ट वन टाइम एक्सेप्शनल मेजर सर। अदरवाइज नोटिसेस विल गो थ्रू ईमेल, ई फाइलिंग पोर्टल, कम्युनिकेशन एसएमएस से जाएगा सर।
ठीक ठीक, राइट।
सर इसी रेफरेंस में एक है कि ईमेल और जो है भेज दिया मगर वो आपको डिलीवर्ड नहीं हो रहा है या सीन नहीं कर रहा है जो एसएससी, तो इस केस में क्या होगा? माने व्हाट द लायबिलिटी विल फिक्स ऑन द एसएससी?
नहीं, वो हम
मोबाइल पे भी मैसेज देते हैं सर। मोबाइल और जो हमने दोनों दिया हुआ है। अब मोबाइल के भी जो है ऐसा कोई नहीं है कि हमारा मोबाइल का जो सिम नहीं हरा गया हो, नहीं चेंज किया हो, हमने नोटिफाई करने में टाइम लग गया हो, इस बीच में आपने भेज। अब मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि डिपार्टमेंट अब लीगल फिक्शन में क्या बोलता है कि हमने कोई नोटिस भेजा, इट हैज टू बी सीन बाय द एसएससी। तो जब तक मेरा सीन ही नहीं होगा तो वो जो ड्यू डिलीवर्ड माना जाएगा क्या?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। मतलब कोर्ट के केसेस ऐसे हम मतलब हमारे फेवर में भी हैं कि हमने 143(2) का नोटिस भेजा और हमने भेज दिया और उसको वो सफिशिएंट जो उस एड्रेस पे भेजा जो आपने हमें बताया। अब वो वहां पर जाकर आप नहीं थे घर के अंदर या क्या था, तो उसको सफिशिएंट कंप्लायंस माना गया है। मतलब ऐसे केसेस
फिजिकल डिलीवरी में तो सर वैसा है। अभी जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आ गया, क्योंकि अब सब फेसलेस हो रहा है, जो भी चीज है, पहले भी ऐसे हमारे मेल्स वगैरह आ रहे हैं, मगर अभी क्या हो गया कि जैसे आपने भी बताया, बहुत सारे हम प्रैक्टिशनर्स है, तो हमारा जो बहुत आदमियों के पास जीमेल नहीं होता, उसका क्रिएट कर देना पड़ता है उन्हीं के मोबाइल से या सभी कुछ, मगर वो उसको चलाते नहीं है। तो एक्चुअल में क्या होता है, वो डिफंक्ट हो जाता है कुछ महीने के बाद में। अब कोई एसएससी को कंप्लायंस करने के लिए आता है तो मेरा जो ड्यूटी है मैं उतना कर देता हूँ, वो उसी के मोबाइल से सारा कुछ कर दिया, मगर वो चालू नहीं है, डिफंक्ट हो गया, आपने तो नोटिस भेज दिया। सो व्हाट इज मीन टू इन नटशेल कि अगर इस स्कीम में एटलीस्ट एक जो नोटिस जो है, अगर प्राइमरी जो फर्स्ट नोटिस है वो अगर फिजिकली दिया पहुंच जाए तो एक अलर्टनेस आ सकती है, जिससे कि हमें कंप्लायंस करने में इजी होगा, क्योंकि उसमें तो नाम भी नहीं होता, कुछ भी नहीं होता है सर। तो क्या होता है कि हमें तो अपना काम ऑब्जेक्ट फुलफिल करना है। हमने अगर स्क्रूटनी कर दिया, वो अगर एसएससी के पास पहुंचा ही नहीं, एक्सपर्टी ऑर्डर हो गया, तो उसका जो है आपको आउटपुट नहीं मिलेगा।
दिलीप जी, ये बात पहले भी अभी हमने कॉन्फ्रेंस में अभी स्टार्टिंग में डिस्कस की थी कि अगर इस स्कीम को सक्सेसफुल बनाना है और अगर हम सब कुछ फेसलेस मैनर में करना चाहते हैं, तो ये बहुत आवश्यक है कि हम लोग सही एड्रेस दें। मतलब जो एड्रेस हम यूज कर रहे हैं, ईमेल एड्रेस मतलब वो दें, जो मोबाइल नंबर हम यूज कर रहे हैं वो मोबाइल नंबर दें, ताकि जब हम आपको अपना नोटिस भेजें तो आपको वो मालूम पड़ जाए कि ये नोटिस आया है और आप इमीडिएटली अपने ई फाइलिंग अकाउंट में जाकर चेक कर लें। तो ये बहुत आवश्यक है। देखिए, अब अगर कोई देखिए, वो ठीक है, आपका जो सजेशंस है वो हमने नोट किया है, उसको एग्जामिन करेंगे, लेकिन हमको थोड़ा ये भी सोचना है कि अगर इस तरह से हम प्रॉब्लम निकालेंगे हर एक स्टेप में, तो प्रोबेबली वी मे बी टेकिंग 2 steps फॉरवर्ड एंड 3 steps बैक। So we also have to think about that. Ultimately, if we are moving to a faceless system, technology-driven system, then each one of us would have to walk along.
सर इसमें यही था कि एक्चुअल में नहीं, हम अभी जो है 99% जो है हमारे ईमेल्स वगैरह आ जाती हैं। अब क्या होता है कि 2000 ईमेल को जो है डेली देखना और उसके व्हाट्सएप में आपका मोबाइल को देखना, तो समटाइम्स इट बिकम्स, और वो क्या होता है कि हमें खाली रिमाइंडर के तौर पे हम क्यों डिपार्टमेंट को कोऑपरेट करना चाह रहे हैं, और देखना हमको एसएससी नहीं देखता है। कोई भी हो सकता है कोई एकदम 01 पॉइंट पे एसएससी देखता हो, मगर उसके बाद 90.9 एसएससी का जो है काम सारा हमारे पास आता है। जब तक मेरे पास ही रिसीव नहीं होगा, अच्छा एक बार अगर नोटिस आ गया तो हम अपने उसमें डाल देते हैं अलर्ट में कि भाई इनका डेली देखो नोटिस में, क्योंकि ये नोटिस आ चुका है फिजिकली। सो देयर विल बी द प्रोसीडिंग स्टार्टेड बिकॉज वी वांट द कंप्लायंस, कि डिपार्टमेंट ने शुरू कर दिया तो हमें भी कंप्लायंस देना है। देखिए अदरवाइज वेगा केसेस को जो है ड्रैग डाउन होगा, ऊपर जाएंगे। तो ये थोड़ा सा एक सजेशन है। और दूसरा एक है कि सर हमारे 2 ईमेल देते हैं हम लोग। एक ईमेल में, प्राइमरी ईमेल में खाली जो है ज्यादा करके आते हैं, सेकेंडरी में नहीं आते, क्योंकि सेकेंडरी हमारा एक परफेक्ट ईमेल होता है जो हमारा ऑफिस का रहता है, उसमें कोई 10 या 20 का कोई लिमिटेशंस नहीं है। तो उसमें भी अगर वो आए तो हमें डिलीवर्ड हो जाएगा एज टैक्स कंसल्टेंट को, या जो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है उनको हो जाएगा। तो द सेकेंडरी को भी अगर उसको अटैच किया जाए, सेंडिंग द एनी नोटिसेस और द एनीथिंग फ्रॉम द डिपार्टमेंट, सो दैट वी विल कम टू नो भी क्या हुआ है। क्योंकि हम चाहते हैं कि डिपार्टमेंट में जो भी चीज वो सोल्व हो जाए, कोई unnecessary litigation linger on नहीं हो. So the last question is that जहां तक हमारी अभी तक हमने सुना है कि अपील हियरिंग जो होती है वो क्वासी जुडिशियल और इंडिपेंडेंट है, उसके ऊपर इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट का कोई से नहीं रहता है. It cannot be controlled by the income tax department and he is independent to give his judgments. मगर अभी जो फेसलेस स्कीम है उसमें जो है एक चेकलिस्ट तैयार किया गया है और जिसके कारण थोड़ा सा जो इंडिपेंडेंसी ऑफ दी क्वासी जुडिशियल पर एक कहीं पर हमें लगता है. तो इस मैटर को अगर आप लोग देखें तो बढ़िया है. और दूसरा ये कि हमें जो है कभी भी हम अगर अपील करते हैं तो हमारा राइट्स जो है अगर हम वहाँ बोले कि नहीं हम पर्सनल हियरिंग देंगे तो वो जो चीज है कोई कमिश्नर या ऊपर हायर अथॉरिटी उसको देखेगा. ये थोड़ा सा जो है कहीं पर भी एज ए लीगल प्रोफेशन में अगर कोई भी आदमी है तो उसको एक थोड़ा सा जो लगता है कि हम अपीलेट ऑफिसर के पास भी गए और ही इज ए क्वासी जुडिशियल अथॉरिटी. असेसमेंट ठीक है रेवेन्यू अथॉरिटी. तो ये थोड़ा सा अगर इट द मैटर कैन बी टेकन कंसिडरेशन देन इट विल बी गुड फॉर इट because it will also violate the natural justice under Article 14 of the Constitution. Anyway, that is my the humble submissions. If the matter can be taken off, it will be great of you.
देखिए वो नेचुरल जस्टिस वाली बात तो मैंने पहले ही कवर कर ली थी, उसका जवाब मैंने दे दिया था, है ना. अभी ये जो दूसरी बात आपने कही थी, उससे पहले जो बात कही थी कि ये इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ सीआईटी अपील, यानी जो उसका फ्रीडम है सीआईटी अपील का. देखिए पहली बात आप समझिए कि ये जो फ्रीडम है सीआईटी अपील का, ये इनकम टैक्स एक्ट का क्रिएशन है. अगर आप दूसरी कंट्री में देखोगे तो वहां पर उसी रिव्यू होता है, उसी का जो भी ऑफिसर ऑर्डर पास करता है उसी का बॉस उसको रिव्यू कर सकता है. तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ऐसा नहीं लिखा हुआ है कि सीआईटी अपील शुड बी क्वासी जुडिशियल अथॉरिटी. इट इज अ क्रिएशन ऑफ द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट दैट सर्टेन पावर एंड इंडिपेंडेंस हैव बीन गिवन टू कमिश्नर अपील. And section 119 says that you cannot give a direction to commissioner appeal to dispose of a matter in a particular manner.
Correct.
Now, what is so that independence is the creation of the Income Tax Act. Now, faceless assessment scheme has been also notified under the Income Tax Act and section 250 जो है जिसके अंदर हमने faceless assessment scheme notify की है, वो हमको पावर देता है कि आप कुछ sections को override कर सकते हैं. और हमने जो faceless appeal scheme बनाई है हमने उन सेक्शंस को ओवरराइड किया है. तो इसलिए अगर हमने जो फेसलेस अपील स्कीम जो बनाई है जिसमें हमने ये कहा है कि एक कमिश्नर अपील ऑर्डर बनाएगा, उसको दूसरा कमिश्नर अपील देखेगा, फिर तीसरा देखेगा, तो ये अब इनकम टैक्स एक्ट का पार्ट बन गया है. सो दैट मींस इनकम टैक्स एक्ट ही इसको अलाउ कर रही है. तो यहाँ पर कोई वायलेशन नहीं हुआ है. इट इज परफेक्टली अ लीगल सिस्टम. सो दैट इज आई जस्ट वांटेड टू एक्सप्लेन दैट this order can be passed by one commissioner appeal or it can be reviewed by 2 more commissioner appeal. That is now a part of the Income Tax Act and that is perfectly legal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mike, this is the I have sum up my questions. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. So now I would request Shri Narayan Jain, sir, to kindly put forth his questions, sir, to the esteemed panelists. And sir, still more, sir, these few questions are to you, sir, only. Vashne, sir, to you only.
Yes, sir. May I begin, sir? My first question, sir, is who will prepare the draft order and whether all the compliance detail, that is more important, whether all the compliance detail like written submission and evidences, these will be mentioned in the assessment order. Because in case of appeal before the ITAT and tribunal, ITAT and High Court, if the order is not a speaking order, then it is quite difficult for the judges to decide the matter. So in the interest of natural justice, the order of the assessing officer, even under faceless assessment scheme, has to be a speaking order, giving all necessary details which have been argued or which have been given in written submission before the faceless assessment of team. That's all.
Yes, absolutely. See, that is definitely, if there is addition proposed in the assessment order on any issue, then that assessment order must also contain the version of the taxpayer. I mean, that is well taken. And now that these assessment orders are reviewed at various levels, there are checks and balances. So definitely the quality of the order would be better than what it was earlier in the earlier system. And that is why we say there will be more efficiency. Perfectly, what you're saying is correct. If there is an addition on that point, otherwise no need to put everything in the assessment order if there is no addition.
Yes, sir. Actually, I had a very bad experience regarding 263. If whatever has been examined or whatever has been submitted by me, in those cases, 263 was done. Because the CIT said, administrative CIT, that it is not mentioned. The things have not been properly checked. So, in those situations, how I defend my case?
Yeah,
And
so
there is no harm, even if no addition, if no addition is made, if that thing is mentioned that all compliances have been made, whatever asked by way of notice under section 142, then what is the loss of the department? A para is to be added.
No. I've said that. See, you are sharing your experience, which is not from faceless system. So because that 263 must have happened in a non-faceless manner.
Yes.
And similarly, we also have grievances. We give even written submission to IT80 members, and IT80 does not produce our written submission in the order. So I can understand your grievance because we also face it, and we fully appreciate that it should be part of the assessment order.
Sir, thank you. The next question is, what is the basic monitoring process in the scheme? Would the system check if the assessment order is likely to be high-pitched, and if yes, how?
Yeah, that of course I explained it earlier that there is a review mechanism. So when the draft assessment order is sent by the assessment unit to National E-Assessment Center, there is a risk management strategy in place. And definitely if it is a high pitch assessment order, then it will get captured there and then it will go to the review unit. And then after review unit, it might go to another assessment unit. So there are checks and balances, and chances of high pitch assessments are much less now.
Thank you, sir. But when we talk of risk management, is it revenue friendly or is it in favor of assessee also? Or it is a balanced situation?
No, it is very much a balanced situation. So even high pitch assessment will be captured and will be reviewed by another unit. So it's not that it is only that if something has not been added, then only the review unit will enter into the picture. No, if something has been extra added which should not have been added, then also review unit has a role to play.
Sir, here I would like to,
the time has come, sir, Mayankji, that whatever additions are made, that should be evidence based. And this issue was also placed before the Honorable CBDT earlier.
Yes.
Like you see, in case of AIR or statement of financial transaction, there is a good evidence in the hands of department. But only on surmises and conjectures, if additions are made on doubt, then that is not advisable, sir. That was the thing which was being discussed earlier in the ward.
Sir, just one small query, sir, regarding this high-pitched assessment, sir. Because currently there is one CBDT instruction which defines a high-pitched assessment in a categorical manner. That is, once an income which is twice the returned income or twice or more the assessed returned income can come in the can come as high-pitched assessment, sir. And there is also one high-powered committee of high-pitched grievance redressal committee with the controlling cadre of Principal Chief Commissioner, Jurisdictional Chief Commissioner. So under the new faceless scheme, will that committee will still be functional, or will its role be merged with the NEAC only?
So I think once we have a review unit and all those systems, so I'm not sure, we have not, I'm not part of the machinery of the CBDT, which will take a call on this high-pitched assessment committee. But yes, you have a valid point that because these things are being checked in a faceless assessment center itself, then probably there may not be a need for that high-pitched assessment committee. But anyways, see that even if that committee is there, it is for the taxpayer, because even after the review, even after 3 rounds of checks and balances, a taxpayer may still feel that probably his assessment is high-pitched. So if that committee is there, I don't know whether it will be there, but if that committee is there, then it's doing no harm to the taxpayer.
Yes, sir. Very true, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks.
So I move to the next question, sir. That is about the draft assessment order which is sent to the taxpayer, or if he want to make any objections. So the objections are to be in writing, or there can be video conferencing, whether both the options are open.
No. This we have discussed earlier. Writing is must in all cases. Yeah. Writing right. is must, and then he can make a request for video conferencing, and those circumstances are yet to be decided. That we discussed earlier.
Okay, sir. The next question is about recording of statement of the assessee under section 131. So in those cases, whether the statements will be recorded on video calling, video conferencing.
Yeah, statement of taxpayer, if verification unit will record, then yes, I mean, I have not, probably I'm not the right person to answer that question. Somebody from National E-Assessment Center or Regional E-Assessment Center can answer it, or one of my colleagues, if they are aware of it, they can answer it, that how that statement will be recorded.
May I pitch in, sir? This is SM Das from Kolkata, sir.
Right.
May I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sir, as you rightly said, sir, verification unit will record the statement under oath under section 131 if summons are issued, and it would be through video telephony only, video conferencing.
Right.
That is sure. It is through video conferencing only. No, SSC or SSC's representative cannot visit any of the units under REAC.
Yeah, that physical. Physical appearance is ruled out. That is just not possible. That is completely ruled out.
Sir, in the new faceless assessment scheme, sir, which has been made operational with effect from 13th August, one categorical exception in this regards has been made, sir, wherein it has been provided, it gives us the impression that where the verification unit wants to conduct any inquiry, then it can do so other than the electronic mode also, sir. And this this exception was not there earlier in the earlier scheme, sir.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mayank,
Yes,
Mayankji,
yes, sir.
that exception is, suppose if there is let us take an example that SSC has 2-3 properties, whether it's a vacant plot of land or whether there is a building or not. So that has to be on the spot verification. But so far as recording of a statement is concerned, it is through video conferencing. That is for sure.
Okay,
recording of a statement is through video conferencing.
Thanks
So
a lot,
that is
sir,
why that exception has been created. In certain cases, one has to go out of the office to verify. So those are very exceptional circumstances, I think. Thank you, Mike.
Connected issue is about the notice under section 133(6). So will it be only in writing or there will be video conferencing?
No, that will be in writing. Why video conferencing for that? Because we are not recording any statement. We just want some information from the person who is holding the information. So that will be in writing.
Okay, sir. Now question number 24 and 25 are already covered, so we skip it. And I come to question number 26. That is about exempt income or agriculture income, other agriculture income. How the assessment unit will verify the genuineness and reasonableness. And the same situation may arise about the genuineness of loans, case credits. Means wherever these are there, how the genuineness will be examined, because there does not appear to be any functionalities right now, sir.
No, there are functionalities because assessment unit can refer it to verification unit. If suppose I am the assessing officer and I feel that the agriculture income which has been shown is probably too high, then I can refer it to the verification unit through National E-Assessment Center, not directly, but through National E-Assessment Center. And then National E-Assessment Center will refer it to the verification unit, who will, like we have done in some cases, we have got satellite images to actually see whether crop was grown on that particular plot of land or not. Verification unit can do those kind of verification, or as Mr. Satyendra ji has just said, that in limited circumstances, they can actually visit the land and find out if agriculture was grown on that or not. So those possibilities are there. I mean, specifically, we cannot answer how verification unit is going to verify, but verification unit is there for these specific purposes.
Thank you, sir. A related matter, that is question number 27, that is the value of immovable property or cost of improvement. How this is going to be referred to the valuation cell of the department?
That will be by verification unit. So if I am the assessing officer and I feel that whatever is the cost of construction which is shown is on the higher side, or for any other purpose, I need to value the property, I will not do it myself. I will send it to National E-Assessment Center, who will send it to the verification unit, and verification unit will send it to the valuer.
That means that there will be no role in future so far the department's valuation cell is concerned.
No, it
because
is.
There are engineers.
No, there are role, because verification unit will send it to them.
Okay, all right, sir.
All
right.
Sir, I'm humbly interrupting, sir. We have to take note of the time also, because we have already crossed the limits. So I request all the panelists to be brief, and Narayan sir, we can sum up with your questions, and then we will proceed with other panelists, esteemed panelists also, sir. And sorry for this.
I will have only 2 small questions, and other questions I will skip, Mangji.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks.
About section 281B, provisional attachment. How the department is going to proceed with the provisional attachment of property where the demand is due.
So this is this is not the function of Faceless Assessment Center. This is the function of jurisdiction AO. It will continue in the same manner. So this is post-assessment work. This has not been given to Faceless Assessment Center.
Okay, so now this penalty under section 271(1)(c), and now it is new section is 270A. There it is the penalty for under-reporting or misreporting. Usually when the notice comes to the assessee, the department mentions both the things, under-reporting and misreporting. So the attempt should be made what is in the mind of the department, whether they are talking of under-reporting or misreporting, so that proper answer can be given by the taxpayer.
Okay, right.
And sir, you very rightly said, sir, where the appeals are pending, either filed in the High Court or Supreme Court by the assessee or by the revenue. That is dealt, sir, by section 158A and 158AA. If it is by assessee, 158A, if it is by revenue, 158AA, this provision we should educate to the people that, and also the revenue, that we should make these provisions to use. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir, Narayan sir. Now I would request Shri Ramdev Kakra sir to kindly go ahead with their questions, sir. Sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir. Sir, Ramdev sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
So my question is that sometimes the taxpayer received information late and additional information when he is already complied the notices of 142.1. In that circumstances, how he can facilitate submission of his additional information?
So Ashim, are you there? You can respond to it.
Sir, this issue has come to our notice, sir. When taxpayer selects full compliance and he submits it, and then suppose after a few days he realizes that, okay, he should have given these additional documents. So we are examining it, sir, and it will be taken care of, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Modi, sir, if I can add, Modi, sir.
Yes.
I checked up with the assessment units. They say the window is open. If the assessee finds after submitting the submissions, after uploading the submissions, if he finds that he has to strengthen it by submitting something more, window is open right now. Initially, when the e-assessment scheme was launched, window used to get closed after 15 days of notice. That was the time allowed. But now it is open. One can see. And I have just found, I am in the review unit, I have just found, I have received a draft assessment order dated 28th September. Came to me through NESE and RMS, of course. But I found that NESE has issued a notice on 9th of October to the same SSE, because this SSE had not given compliance to any of the 3 or 4 notices issued by the assessment unit. So I have returned this back. So there is some disconnect between the draft assessment order given to the RU and later on notice is going from NESE to the SSE. Modi sir, just kindly note it down, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
sir. Okay,
Thank you, sir. Sir, in past, the taxpayer or SSC can guess that the assessment is going against him. But wherever in faceless assessment, wherever the adverse interference is noted by the taxpayer, can a taxpayer in all cases video conferencing may be allowed?
No, that issue we have already discussed. I said that we have still to notify the circumstances. Once we notify the circumstances, then probably we will be in a better position to answer your question.
Okay. My next question is there a functionality to serve notices either directly or as CC to the authorized representative of the SSE, as in its case of business units? It is the AR who make compliance on behalf of the SSE.
Ashim, can you answer this? He is
Yes,
asking
sir.
whether you're CC. Yeah.
Yes, sir. If taxpayer has enrolled the authorized representative, then a copy will go to the authorized representative. It will certainly go to the taxpayer e-filing portal, but it will also go to the authorized representative. But for that, sir, that registration has to be made in the e-filing portals.
Thank you. So the next question is, can an alternative mode of uploading files, attachment along with e-submission other than scanned files be considered so as to do away with the time-consuming and tedious process of scanning of all documents and records?
Ashim?
In this issue, means suppose somebody wants to upload something, so I think the only way out is the scanning of the document. Means what probably you meant like Microsoft Word file or something, Excel sheet, Word, but that won't bear any signature or anything.
Yeah.
Sir, XML file, generation of XML files, sir, some sort of those things.
Okay, yeah. So that at present, right now, we are not equipped for that. Maybe this we will consider.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Regarding service of notice, if in case of adverse interference, before passing the 144 order, a physical notice can be given to SSE?
Physical notice as of now is ruled out, except in
Only
some
in
very,
case of
very
144 orders.
Even then, means as Kamlesh sir has again and again emphasized, the whole purpose of this faceless scheme is no physical communication.
No,
But
undoubtedly, sir, it's a beautiful scheme, but only in case of 144 order.
So rather, yeah, I will say it that way. Means this scheme has just started. Gradually, means there was a SMS campaign since last 15 days, and it had got very excellent result. Compliance has come up like anything. In last 2-3 weeks, 6,000 to 8,000 new taxpayers, they have complied to the scrutiny notices. So as we go forward, we will see that. But as of now, this is not the thought process.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, how does the SSE ensure that submission made, details filed, evidence given? Sir, in past, I have experienced in e-assessment that a taxpayer submitted number of times, but the AO passed the order surpassing all the submissions. So if in case of faceless assessment case, the order have the submission, only the submission dates, that on such and such date submissions were made, then it will be more beneficial.
Yeah, that's a suggestion we have noted. Yes. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sir, if part compliance is made for furnishing balanced response, adjournment should be granted. How many adjournment a taxpayer can get?
So there cannot be a fixed answer to this. You know, how many adjournments can be given? I mean, these are questions that cannot be answered. I mean, it depends on the facts of the case, the situation, why adjournment is asked for, how much time is left for time barring date. It depends on so many factors.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now my question is finished.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Sir, I would like to sum up this question hour session just with last one question. Sir, in the new faceless appeal scheme, there is the entire process of admission which needs to be followed when an additional ground of appeal as well as additional evidence is being furnished by the assessee, sir. And the comments of the NEAC or the jurisdictional AO are also being sought by the National Faceless Appeal Center, sir. But no opportunity of filing any rebuttal is being provided in the current scheme to the assessee, which is there currently, sir. So can it be thought of that filing opportunity of filing rebuttal to the objections and comments of NEAC or RE judicial AO may be inserted in this scheme, sir?
We will examine it. We have noted it, man. Yeah, we will examine it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. So, sir, I am glad that, sir, we have covered almost all the crucial and yes, sir. Yes.
Just one thing to add to
yes, sir.
We were concluding that in the interest of CPC e-filing unit, also interest of the taxpayers, one thing I would like to tell you now, since the same query has come again and again, I'm asking this, I'm sharing this. See, ours is a country with 116 crore mobile connections and 111 crore Aadhaar connections. Our people, everyone, 99% of people have taken Aadhaar, no? So if an uneducated person, a person without an income, that person also has come forward to take Aadhaar connection, have a mobile connection linked to his bank account, Aadhaar account. I think this is not too much to ask to have an email ID when you file a return of the taxpayer himself, taxpayer's email ID, taxpayer's mobile number. And I'm sure NEAC units will be sending SMS alert also. When the email has not been responded, SMS also will come. I think I may request to all of you, you are the procedural taxpayers, please ensure that every taxpayer's e-filing portal is updated today or in the coming days with the correct email ID and correct contact numbers. Then we can solve most of these problems.
Yeah, good point, Matthew, good point.
Sir, I have to speak yes. 2 lines. Mayank ji, moderator sir.
हाँ, please sir, बताएं sir. हाँ जी.
हाँ, सर एक तो ये बात है कि बॉम्बे से एक AIFTP का कॉन्फ्रेंस हुआ था, उसमें आप भी थे, चेयरमैन साहब भी थे.
हाँ.
अपने तो बहुत अच्छा था प्रोग्राम. आई मस्ट कॉम्प्लीमेंट यू सर. उसमें ये बात हुई थी कि जो भी क्वेश्चन आंसर हुए थे, CBGT विल इश्यू क्लैरिफिकेशन बेस्ड ऑन दोज क्वेश्चंस. तो उनका तो सर अभी हुआ नहीं और आज भी अच्छा हुआ है. तो इनमें से सर बॉम्बे का और यहाँ का मिला के जो क्वेश्चंस आपको लगे विच मे बी यूजफुल टू द पीपल बोथ टू टैक्स पेयर्स, टैक्स कंसल्टेंट एंड डिपार्टमेंट, वो सर काइंडली एक विचार करके उसको आप एक क्लैरिफिकेशन के रूप में इशू करिए. दूसरा बात जो सर मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट आई वांट टू प्रेजेंट बिफोर योर ऑनर इज द चेंज ऑफ माइंडसेट. हम लोग का जो प्रोफेशनल है उनका भी माइंडसेट चेंज होना चाहिए और टैक्स पेयर चार्टर में जो आप लोगों ने कहा है, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है कि टैक्स पेयर का भी ऑब्लिगेशन है कि वो सही अमाउंट पर टैक्स अदा करे. तो ये सर ऑफिशियल्स का विद ड्यू रेस्पेक्ट सर all along what they have been taking the stand is the revenue friendly in favor of revenue. Why I should take the risk? तो ये माइंडसेट से चेंज करने के लिए जो भी ट्रेनिंग करना है, not only in NIDT Nagpur but at various center kindly arrange as soon as possible. Because मेरी नेक नीयत साफ होनी चाहिए, उधर से डिपार्टमेंट की भी होनी चाहिए, तब हम लोग सर इंडिया में टैक्स कल्चर डेवलप कर पाएंगे. आई एम ए वोटरी ऑफ टैक्स कल्चर फॉर सो मेनी इयर्स एंड आई वन फॉर द डिपार्टमेंट सर. मैं भी अवैतनिक कर्मचारी हूँ सर आपका, तो इस काम में पूरा मदद करूंगा. चेयरमैन साहब से मेरी बात हुई है. धन्यवाद सर.
बिल्कुल सही, बिल्कुल सही.
So, sir, I would like to sum up our question answer session. We have covered almost all the crucial questions.
Mayank ji, can I take 30 seconds? 30 seconds.
Sir,
my question, rather, it's a suggestion. Das sahab said that the professionals need to be precise in their answers. But I have often been getting suggestions in my association that the queries sent by the assessment unit are many times we are finding questions which the answer is always not applicable based on the accounts itself. Like in some cases, the details of sales are being sought, whereas there is no sale in that particular account. It's revenue from service, which is clearly reflected. So if the questions are also thrown to the SSC after proper study of the accounts, because how to answer not applicable, and in that case, the tax professionals tend to write more to clarify their position.
Right. Sure.
सर, मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि आज का ये सेशन बहुत जानदार और शानदार रहा। ई असेसमेंट और फेसलेस असेसमेंट के लिए हमारे दास साहब तो इसके विश्वकर्मा थे और हमने ये प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत न्यू इंडिया के लिए नवीन जी से की और मॉडरेटर हमारे मोहन का जी रहे, कृष्णा, वो मॉडरेटर के अंदर में आ गए। बाद में कमलेश जी का और दास साहब का, सभी का जो जिस हिसाब से आज का जो सेशन हुआ वो जानदार और शानदार रहा। और सर बात ऐसी है कि 2017 में जब जीएसटी आई तो वन नेशन वन टैक्स वन नेशन रहा, लेकिन ये फेसलेस असेसमेंट और फेसलेस अपील इतनी सुंदर और सो मच ब्यूटीफुली डिजाइंड कि जिसकी तारीफ जितनी भी की जाए कम है। और इस फेसलेस अपील और उस असेसमेंट से हम ये टीम बेस्ड असेसमेंट करके हम सेकुलर हो गए, सेकुलर इंडिया। तो ये चीज एक अपने आप में नायाब है और इस संक्रमण काल के अंदर में जब एक दूसरे से वो करना चाहते हैं तब उसके लिए ये स्कीम आना एप्रोप्रिएट टाइम पे ये स्कीम आई। तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और
तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, नवरात्रि में राम जी का आशीर्वाद मिल गया, अब तो सक्सेसफुल हो गई।
सर लेकिन चीज है, मैं केवल एक बात है कि एक सादे सब सदे, ट्रांसपेरेंसी, आप पेनलेस, सीमलेस, फियरलेस सब खत्म हो जाएगा। ट्रांसपेरेंसी टैक्स पेयर के हिसाब से भी होनी चाहिए और ट्रांसपेरेंसी डिपार्टमेंट के हिसाब से भी होनी चाहिए। ट्रांसपेरेंसी टैक्स पेयर के हिसाब से है कि ट्रूली अपनी इनकम डिक्लेयर करे और जो टैक्स बनता है वो टैक्स जमा दे और टाइमली दे। ये केवल छोटी सी बात। लेकिन डिपार्टमेंट के ऊपर में टैक्स पेयर में टैक्स चार्टर जो बना है उसमें टैक्स पेयर के लिए केवल तो यही 2-3 चीजें हैं, और ज्यादा चीजें हैं वो डिपार्टमेंट के लिए है। तो ये एक ही मूल मंत्र है, एक सादे सब सदे, ट्रांसपेरेंसी, सत्यमेव जयते।
And on behalf of professionals, sir, professionals, all my brothers, I assure the government of India, the CBDT, that we are with the government and we will see that the scheme is successful.
And sir, one of the questions I was likely to ask Das Sahab about the way forward the professionals should take, but due to paucity of time, I am not being able to take up this. Das Sahab, some other time we will definitely take opinion from you.
We will have many more opportunities.
Sir,
I think time to wind up.
Thank you.
Because all the panelists, they have official work also. We have taken too much of the time.
Yes.
Very, very thankful to them. They have to go back to work. Right?
I'm thankful to all, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, I would like to request Naveen sir from Taxmann to convey their vote of thanks to our esteemed panelists.
Thanks, Mayank. So I won't take much time. So we have already exceeded the scheduled time. वैसे जो रामदेव जी ने जितना अच्छा conclude किया vote of thanks दिए उनसे better मैं नहीं दे पाऊंगा. But I simply say that to make any scheme or any game successful, the best way is to let the players understand all the rules. So जिस तरीके से जितनी patiently कमलेश जी ने सारे questions address किए हैं, so I believe we all have the clarity both from the administrative side, on the policy side, as well as on your day-to-day operation side. So I believe and we hope, and Taxmann is with you, sir. So we'll always try that we'll bring more and more clarity on this scheme so that we can make it successful and we can make India the only country to implement faceless assessment scheme in a successful manner on a very large scale, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, all the panelists, especially from the department side. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
And thanks, Taxmann. वाधवा जी, आपकी पूरी टीम का हमारा धन्यवाद सबका.
And sir, thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
और आप और भी वेबिनार करते रहिए.
We hope some future webinar of this kind from the Taxmann.